Montrell, what's up, man? I am on a work trip this week. I mentioned this last week, and I'm in Chicago. I'm actually in a suburb of Chicago, I guess, technically, but in the Chicago area, I guess it's safe to say. And bro, let me tell you that I fucking, I fucking hate it here. I'm so ready to go home. the
What's making it so bad?
the driving situation out here is legitimately one of the worst things I've ever experienced. And this is from somebody who lived in Boston for 22 years. Now, admittedly, I didn't drive in Boston really at all, so it was mostly vicariously through people that drove me around. So I don't have like the firsthand experience with that. But uh, dude, the roads around here are like horrible. The design of them is just some of the shittiest. It's like the shittiest stuff I've ever seen. So I specifically though, like it wasn't bad until yesterday. Yesterday, I tried to go to downtown yesterday into the city, and I ended up just leaving. Like I couldn't. I was gonna go there and like go shopping, and um, I was in the city, and I get there, and like I realized that the stores or that I was gonna go to, like they were all fucking closed, dude. Like they close at like 6 p.m. on weekdays, or like 7 at the latest. So I was like, dude, what the fuck? So I just decided to leave instead of trying to find parking and whatever scramble. And dude, it took me, I'm not fucking with you, like an hour and 45 minutes to get out of the city and get back to my hotel. And my hotel was only, I think, 17 miles away from where I was. Um, it was horrific. Like, dude, trying to get out of the city, just out of the city, took 45 minutes because the roads are like, dude, they're just, it's so congested, number one, but number two, like, the design of them is terrible. So there are these, like, left turns, like, fucking left turn on at a like a stoplight, right? There's usually a lane for it specifically, or at least in most places, and there is here too. But dude, a lot of the lights don't have a green arrow, so like a left green arrow, so they will just turn green, and you're kind of just expected to just cut off the other side of the road and just drive in front of them. like, like it's so bad. But it's not just the road design though. Like the roads are in rough. Some of the roads are in really rough shape, dude. Like there's no paint on the roads on some of the roads. Like you can't even see lane markers. Like there's no indication of where you're supposed to be. What the middle lane marker is like gone on a lot of these streets. Like there's nothing there, so you don't even know if it's like a solid yellow line or what, or like a dotted yellow line or anything. Um, but dude, the drivers are the worst part though. They are so fucking aggro and so psychotic. Like some of the shit I have seen in the 4 days that I've been here is fucking wild. Like there are these bike lanes. So in some parts of around here, there are bike lanes where bikers, can drive or like ride next to the cars. And obviously, you're not
hmm
supposed to drive in those. They're fucking bike lanes for a reason. Dude, there are people who will fucking just gun it into the bike lane and just drive up the bike lane, like to get around all the traffic. Like they're such shitheads. But then it gets even worse. I've seen even crazier shit dude, I've seen people literally. I've seen this probably 4 or 5 times in the 3 or 4 days I've been here, where people will literally drive onto the other side of the road, like straight up, go into the other side of the road, where cars are coming towards us, and fucking gun it and go around all the traffic to like get around it. Like, dude, I've seen that multiple times, and I'm like,
Right.
is this a thing that people do here? I'm like, what, dude? The insurance costs must be out of control. So, I fucking hate it here, man. I hate driving around here. It's like the miserable. I'm like so ready to just go home and like get to my house in 30 minutes from
Right.
like the airport where I'm like 25 miles away. Dude, anywhere you have to go here that's 15 miles or more away, good luck. It's taking you an hour. Like you're not getting it doesn't matter if you
Yeah.
go to a highway or not. It is taking you a fucking hour to get wherever you're going. Um, so
Uh, Are you
it's
about your mic? What kind of mic are you using? Or is it wireless or wired?
wired. Oh, am I cutting out?
Okay, a little bit, just a little bit.
Oh no. Well,
No,
I'm in.
you're fine now. It's just
Okay.
only I think either you're like moving your head or something like that when you're talking. I don't know.
Okay, I'll be careful. Yeah, so I'm in a
Yeah.
hotel, everybody. So you're gonna have to bear with my audio this week. I'm not in my normal setup, so but but yeah, it's been it's the food's fine for the most part. Food's pretty good. Deep dish pizzas, it's aight. Not really my probably not my cup of tea, but um it's pretty good. I'm sure like when it's like fresh and like really hot, it's probably super good, but um so I don't know. Yeah, but how's your week been, man? How you been doing?
I've been all right. It was a really crazy day. I wasn't expecting to do a lot of work, but ended up on the roof of a fucking warehouse.
Oh, fuck.
Uh, yeah. So I had to change out because we had the Starlink, like the Elon Musk Starlink satellites up in
Oh
the
yeah.
job site. And one of the job sites I had to put on the fucking roof because the guy wasn't settled. He was convinced that he wasn't getting enough power and everything, even though when I put it on the roof he was getting the same exact speeds.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to climb up this thing, and it was like an actual ladder on the outside of the warehouse, and the warehouse was like big as a DC warehouse, or maybe even bigger, as
Hmm.
far as like height wise. So yeah, it wasn't fun because I mean I'm not afraid of heights, but I was getting kind of nervous climbing up that ladder because the ladder was on the
Mm.
outside.
Is it one of
So
those ones that's like enclosed?
yeah, it's like those enclosed ladders, but
Yeah.
still on the outside. Yeah,
Yeah.
so uh, I wasn't too fond of that, but we did it or whatever. Also, like I guess like a slight announcement. I guess really, I'm not gonna really be on my Twitter as much. My Trapford Hokage Twitter. I have another Twitter that I have, but that's gonna be private to me, and I'm not gonna be following anybody on it or anything like that. But yeah, like my main Twitter profile, it just has I follow too many people, and it's just too many politics, drowning out like the video game stuff, and then even the video game stuff is politics within that shit, and
Hmm.
it was just like drowning me out. So I just actually stepped away from Twitter, and even on my other profile, I don't even get on any that much. So only time I'm going to be posting stuff now is for the podcast and like video game clips, and that's pretty much it, y'all. If y'all at me, I will respond to y'all, but I'm not gonna be like making posts like that anymore on that like that. But
We'll
yeah, that's
see.
pretty much it.
We'll see how long that lasts.
No, this is I've actually been doing it for 2 weeks, so
Okay. All right. Yeah, well,
yeah. So
we've been talking about that actually because my Twitter feed is like devolved into animal videos. Like that's literally I have muted so many things and like told Twitter not to show me so many things that it's to the point that the only thing it shows me now are cat videos and dog videos.
yeah,
And you know what? It's fine. It's okay. I'm totally okay with that. I've enjoyed it. I'm enjoying it way more than I was. So, um,
yeah, it's pretty cool. I like my little Twitter. I follow like maybe 24, 40 people. That's like primarily video game and like firearm related stuff. And I mean it's pretty cool. I don't have any complaints or whatever. So I've been like going in and out of that because I started going back to the gym and stuff like that. So I just been like focusing on myself a little bit. Um, yeah, I beat Xenoblade Chronicles 3, so I had a slight void in my life because that was like my that was I have I've been playing Xenoblade for so long, and I'm
mhm,
not going getting into the games we play. This is still my icebreaker. Like I've been playing Xenoblade for so long,
yeah.
for the last 4 or 5 months, actually. I think either three, yeah, about 4 months that I had a schedule for it. So I
Mhm.
get home, like kind of do my little workout, talk to my girl or whatever, play with my cats, and then I play Xenoblade or I play the game with y'all. And then on the weekends, we're exclusively like Xenoblade time. So now that I'm like done with the entire series, it's like, oh, I have a lot of free time.
I
Honestly.
don't know how you've done this, man. I have got to commend you and your willpower and your patience. I would not have been able like you literally have been playing these games for like 4 or 5 months now, and I'm kind of astounded that you made it. Honestly, I think I would have burnt out halfway through too, you know, and I wouldn't have even wanted to look at a Xenoblade game. So I got to give you
Yeah,
kudos for that.
that's kind of where I'm at now. I don't even want to look at a Xenoblade game. But unfortunately, like my Twitter or not my Twitter feed, but my YouTube feed and the algorithm, is nothing but like Xenoblade news and like tips and tricks and like all that
What if
shit.
Nintendo announces the Xenoblade Chronicles export that we've always wanted, and it's coming out?
I have to
It's
play
coming
it.
out in like it's coming out in like December. Like, what if they did that to you right now?
I would have to play it. Oh, I would have to play it
Okay.
because that's probably one of my favorite Xenoblades. I want to go back and play.
Hmm.
But yeah. So besides that though, I mean, I've just been working, and stuff like that, and uh, yeah, that's it. Nothing really too special been going on.
All right. Well, let's get into the show proper then, Montrell. Hi, everybody. This is the Player's Take, um, episode 192. I'm your host, Justin DeSimone, joined by my lovely co-host, Montrell Rice. And let me just get into the rigmarole real quick, and then we'll get right into it. So we posted. This is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and your favorite podcast app of choice. And if you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter at The Players Take, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. And Montreal, I guess let's just jump right into it this week. This is probably going to be a fairly short and sweet episode potentially. Let's talk about what we've been playing. Do you want to go first, or would you like me to go first?
You can go first.
Okay. So mostly playing. I guess we can start with Overwatch 2. I've been playing a decent amount of that now. Obviously, I haven't played that since I've been out of town. But I did play it a lot this past weekend and last couple days before or after we recorded last week. And I'm enjoying the game a lot, actually, man. It's fun. I think the changes Blizzard made to the game compared to Overwatch 1 definitely have had an impact in the enjoyment level of it. I think the fact that there are defined roles, I mean, that's been a thing for a while, I'm pretty sure. But I think DJ said that because I remember there not being any roles in the original Overwatch, and yeah, DJ said there wasn't for like half the game's lifespan. So um, that change, I
Yeah,
think,
they
was a
they
really
did
good.
change that.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
a
they
really
did
good
change
change.
that.
I think very much needed. Kind of forces some semblance of team building onto randos that otherwise would just everybody would play fucking DPS. Um, and I think it works really well. I like all three roles. There are characters in all three roles that I really enjoy playing. So I'm probably not gonna focus on one too hard. Given that, especially given the way you guys are kind of starting to gravitate, because I think almost everybody at this point has like one role they don't really want to play, and so I kind of want to play all three. I think just to kind of give us some flexibility, but we have the whole team, the whole group, pretty much has been playing this with us though, and so we have like a 5 stack. We've been playing the game with, and honestly, it's been a lot of fun. I think we're getting better at the game, and it it's interesting the back and forth. I mean, it's kind of just a tug of war game a lot of the time, but so far it hasn't gotten repetitive to the point where it's boring. I think it's probably because the character variety and like we're learning all the characters still, and there's just a lot of really like fun characters that have really cool kits in my opinion. But what do you think of the game so far?
I think it's actually pretty fun. Even when I'm not like, it's weird because it's like I'm taking it casually. But it is a game I can just jump in and play. Especially like I jumped in on PC, and I don't play first person shooters on PC. But like this game, I picked up easily, and it actually translated over to other first person games I'm playing on PC now, and I'm doing mildly okay. So I think this is a good game to like. If you guys want to learn how to play first person shooters on PC, I think Overwatch is the most easiest game to get into. Um, I like playing the support role. Um, I mean, attack damage is okay, or DPS is okay. I think it's kind of an overrated role that everyone wants to play for some reason. It's almost like the mid lane or ADC in League of Legends. Like those are like the most queued up roles in that game.
Well, it's
And
because
you know, this game,
they're the simplest roles. They always are. DPS in an
yeah,
MMO is simple. A damage dealer in League is simple. It's true in Overwatch as well. It's always the simplest role, which is why so many people gravitate towards it because they just
yeah.
they don't want to do something complicated, you know.
Yeah. And I usually like the tank in games, but for some reason I don't like tanking in Overwatch. It's just too much to keep track of compared to like other games where like yeah, I'm maybe tanking like, you know, four fucking bosses in or doing off tank role in fucking Final Fantasy 16 or 14 rather. Or whatever, like, and that's complicated as fuck. But it's like for some reason this game everything jumps around too much and it's too much for me to focus on and try to tank or try to take care of and everything like that. So I rather leave that to like people who can handle that kind of mayhem. Because even though I tank in like certain games like League of Legends as well, is like I play top lane sometime. It's just really different. So
I think you
I
need
tend
to
to
I think you need to play it more, honestly. I think you'll like it if you just find the right characters.
I do like that one Australian character. I can't remember her name, but
Junker Queen?
the one yeah, Junker Queen is really fun to
Yeah,
play. She's really
she's
fun to
fucking
play.
super fun, dude. She's like one of my favorite
Yeah.
characters to play as. But I no, I like I'm actually kind of like the tank role. It's honestly the thing with tank though. I don't want to play tank with randos because you really have got to trust your supports when you're playing tank because the key to the role, at least for me, what I've noticed so far is just positioning yourself aggressively, like be up in the enemy team's face, you know.
Yeah.
You don't want to isolate yourself and die, but that's kind of my point. Is like you want to be in a position where your healers can heal you effectively, but to the point that you are pushing the enemy, putting pressure on them, and kind of like forcing them backwards. You know. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. So I mean, it's a decent role. It's not a bad role. I just don't. I can't. It's not for me in this game. Rather, but I do like playing Junker Queen. So I might play more tank if I do get to pick her a lot. Which probably I will because nobody likes to play tank. Um, but I like the support role, which is actually the least favorite out of the whole community. I've been learning because I've been going to the forums and everything like that. People hate playing support. Um, and I don't know why. I think this is probably the best support class in games in general. Like, um, usually supports are boring to play, but in certain games, not all games, but like the majority of games, supports are like really boring to play. But this game, I don't know. It feels really fun. I feel like I can influence the battlefield. I am directly influencing the battlefield. Even though the DPSs are flanking and doing their thing, like they get fucking targeted, and I need to go over there and heal them. A lot of the healers themselves have great mobility, so I can maneuver around the battlefield really quickly. And I just like that. I like that they gave their healers just really good mobility because for some reason, a lot of games healers do not have mobility, and it's one of the weirdest fucking things I noticed. Um, League of Legends kind of changed their roles a lot like that. A lot of their supports have like mobilities, unless it's one of the beefier support, one of the tank supports, then they don't really have too much mobility. But in this game, I like it a lot. Um, I do hate the flanking meta that the dive slash flanking meta that's happening. Genji is a fucking terrorist on the fucking map. Like he is way overtuned. I think they still have him designed for Overwatch 1, where they're like two tanks and two supports, and he has to be that fast and have to be that oppressive. Him and Sombra. Like now I start to see why Sombra is like aggressive because she's super aggressive. She can take you down really quickly, hack you, then take down your tank. So they need to do something about that. I don't think they should just go super nerfing everybody, but just change the numbers a little bit, just like have them be less oppressive, or at least give the some of the supports more health so that we can kind of counter that flanking.
Yeah.
The only person I say that is that's like really fucking oppressive, in my opinion, is Mora. I don't care what nobody says. I don't care if you're like a fucking high master fucking rank fucking Overwatch player.
Yeah.
That champion, that hero needs to be fucking nerfed to the ground, like straight up. Don't change her numbers, but at least make her more skill based, because there should be no reason I can just left click on the screen and I get damage. Like that's in in the match with like 10,000 damage more than my DPS, and I
Mhm.
have like 10,000 healing as well. A good Mora can do that. She can like damage the entire team and heal at the same time. She does. She has so much influence on the map when she comes onto the field. It's kind of ridiculous. Everybody, the only way we were winning against her last times, we had to target her. Like every time we saw her, we just instantly targeted her and killed her.
But she
She's like
has
a such a
she has an escape though too. That's the fucking annoying thing about her is like she has a way to get
yeah,
away. You know.
exactly. She's like an assassin, healer, drain tank type person, and it's just not fun to play against, in my opinion. And apparently, she's been like this since Overwatch, since she's been released in Overwatch 1. So I I think her numbers are still kind of overtuned. I think they still have her in Overwatch 1 mode, and she needs to be tuned for Overwatch 2
Well,
because she's just super oppressive.
the pros don't think she's a problem though. That's the funny thing. It's probably because she's not. I don't know. She's not good in their meta, but yeah, like I don't know. I I will say I really like the healer role in this game too, or the support role, whatever you want to call it, because I think they've made it so that it's not just boring. Like
Yeah,
you're not just healing everybody. That's not the role. You know, that's a huge part of the role, but you kind of for most characters, I'd say excluding maybe Mercy, you are kind of expected to do damage. Like you have to do
yeah,
damage too. Like you need to be
exactly.
contributing damage to the game.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you're not playing well, generally speaking. And I like that. I think that's really good. There's some healers that fucking pump damage, dude. Like Anna is fucking nuts. If you can hit her shots consistently, like she does a fucking lot
yeah,
of damage, and her
yeah.
grenade
I like
is
her.
insane, dude. Like that shit like murders DPS. If you throw that on them, and you shoot them
Yeah,
once, they're fucking dead. Like they're most of them at least. So I think she's a really cool healer. Lucio is super solid. Overall, I don't think he's a good damage dealer really, but his heals and mitigation and support skills are fucking nuts. Um, and
yeah,
then who's the other one I was gravitating towards recently? Oh, Kiriko. I like her a lot. She's really cool. Actually, I really like her a
yeah,
lot. I think we hated on Mercy pretty hard when we first started playing. I don't think she's that bad. I just don't want to play her though, because she's just like really boring. I don't know. She's like that traditional support. That everything she does is like heavy on the support. She doesn't really do any damage. Yes, she has a gun, but you have to like swap to it in order to use it. It's super clunky in my opinion. So
yeah.
she's
I'm still used to like the old school Mercy, and we haven't played since like early like version 1 of Overwatch 1, so I'm still used to like that version of Mercy. But this new version of her, I mean, I understand she was broken in pro play of Overwatch 1. That's why they reworked her. But I just don't like it. It's just not my cup of tea. Yeah, you have to be like a real super good Mercy player to actually like affect the battlefield. And I have seen that. I mean, we played with a couple. We saw a couple of them on the enemy team who were just like supporting the Reinhardt, and just like we couldn't fucking get her and kill her. You know?
right. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, damage is damage. But I do think there are some really fun damage dealers that like are really have really cool designs. Like Sojourn is really cool. I like
Yeah,
that character a lot. Um, Sombra, I know she's annoying, but I really like her design. Like, I think she's really fun. to play. She does seem a little too effective though right now. Like her hack shit is just so fucking powerful, especially if you can hit her ult on the whole enemy team. Like that is fucking devastating. Like you will obliterate them if you pull that off as a Sombra. So um, she's really good. I think a lot of the old school characters are decent for the most part. I mean, Genji is really good right now, but like Hanzo, Soldier, Cassidy, Tracer, they're all like solid. I don't think any of them are like really super good, but they're definitely solid characters. So I mean, I think everybody for the most part though right now, like every character feels balanced for the most part. There are some that are a little overtuned, but I don't think there's anybody that's like bad, you know. Right now, at least from what I've seen, like every character, if you can play the character well, they can be effective. So
Yeah, you're right. And even though I was complaining about Mora, like I said, you just have to focus her, and once you realize she's on the battlefield, like everybody just plays a little bit differently. It's like having a Shaco in fucking League of Legends. Like once you realize there's a Shaco in the field, you have to start adjusting and playing for his invis stuff. And I think Mora's like that. You have to like adjust for her healing capabilities and her flanking capabilities. So even though I was bitching about her, she is manageable with a 5 stack. Now
yeah,
randos, I'm not too sure. She might destroy y'all.
just a pub stomper, yeah, pub stomping
Yeah.
character for sure. But yeah, I mean, we'll have more to say as we keep playing. It's a fun game. I do want to see them do more with it though, like different types of maps. I think the payload thing is I don't really understand why Blizzard can't design a map that isn't pushing something. Like like
Yeah.
it's kind of a fucking weird thing for me. Um because it's like, is that the only way that Overwatch works as a game? Is where you're pushing some kind of payload thing? It's like it's weird. So I'd like to see a little bit more variety on the map types. I know
Yeah, maybe
they
like a capture the flag or something like that, or something
Yeah,
like that.
shit, dude. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah, because I know they took out like point control maps or something like that. Like people fucking hated those or something. So I think they did
Yeah,
try and it didn't work very well. But I'd like to see them try something else because I think that's the one thing with the game right now is even though there's a lot of different maps, they're all the same thing basically. And I don't think it's like super. The variety is just not there for me right now on that. So. But outside of Overwatch, I've been playing The Last of Us Part 2, so I did actually bring my PlayStation with me on the trip. I made that choice at the last minute, and I'm kind of glad I did actually, because I mean I didn't really end up like I'm not. There's not a lot to do at night because everything closes so early. So I've been playing a lot of that. I have actually gotten through. I don't remember what like had I just started the game last week when we recorded, or had I even started it yet? I don't even think I had started
no,
it yet.
you started it last week. Yeah, you
Okay.
started it last week.
Well, dude, I'm almost done with this game now. I am on the last part of the Seattle section of the game, like very last day. Um, and there's like another section after that. So I don't know. I'll probably beat this game in a few days. I'd say like probably a couple more sessions to be honest. I'll probably be able to beat this game. So it was interesting playing through it again after playing the first game. Because the story is I think to me like really good. I really enjoy this game's story a lot. I think they did a lot better job in this game than they did in the first game of really fleshing out the backstory around the events that are happening in the game. There are a lot of flashbacks that flesh things out, and they are important. Like they really give you context on why the characters are doing what they're doing in the current day within the game, and I don't really understand. I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into the toxicity around this game, but it's just like I just don't understand why people hate on this game so much. Like I think it's a really like solid, well told story. Overall. Um, the combat though is it's funny to play through this again because it is interesting. I forgot that the guns you get, like the kind of the I don't know, roster or like variety of guns that you end up getting access to with each character that you play. It's limited compared to Joel in the first game. Like Joel at the end of the game has like fucking 9 or 10 guns that you can use. Like he's got a
Yeah,
fuck ton of different guns, and they kind of like split that in this game between the two characters, and I kind of forgot about that. It's not a bad thing though. I actually think it's fine. Ultimately, it works really well because it kind of focuses your playstyle with each character, where they feel really distinct in the way they play.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I agree with that.
because yeah,
That I do remember.
Ellie is like really stealth focused. She can kill things in stealth faster than the other character, and she's just got weapons that are more tuned for stealth overall too. And a lot of her ability upgrades center around stealth too. The second character is much more combat focused and really good in melee combat, actually, which is really fun. It's really interesting. She has this like strike mechanic that I forgot about, where if you initiate a strike on an enemy, like where you stun them and they're one shot, and you can just like one shot them and you'll do like a finisher on them, that makes your next melee attack also a strike where you will one shot the next enemy too. Which is like really fucking powerful. Especially when you don't have a melee weapon on you. It can actually save your ass a lot of the time. But dude, the thing I wanted to call out with this game though, I was playing through it again, is the fucking difficulty, dude. I fucking forgot how much harder this game is than the first game. Like these encounters are insane. Some of them, they fucking throw so many enemies at you. It is nuts. There was like, dude, there's this one encounter I was doing as Ellie that was legitimately. It was like 3 different areas. It kind of had this like 3 area. They were kind of interconnected overall, but like there was like kind of like clear kind of delineation points between them. But dude, there was like 30 enemies. I'm not even fucking with you. I like forgot that they had encounters like this. Dude, there's just like fucking so many enemies. I would stealth take down like 10 guys, and I'm like, man, I'm doing really good here. There can't be that many left, you know? And then I move forward
Hmm.
and there's literally like 4 of them in front of me, you know, all fucking patrolling. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? And then you like get caught, and then all of a sudden you're getting fucking flanked from behind from some guys you missed in the first area, and you're like, it's just like, dude, what the fuck, man? So it's the encounters are fucking crazy in this game, and it's actually really funny though to me that Ellie's section of the game in Seattle is like really tame compared to the second character that you play. The number of set pieces is not that high for Ellie, and most of her areas are pretty quiet, standard encounters. Whereas the second character you play, um, her her encounters are like fucking nuts from like the end of day 1 all the way through the end of day 3. It's just bonkers crazy shit, you know.
Yeah,
And I don't know if that was deliberate or not, like they did that on purpose to make that section of the game feel better. But it is something notable that I noticed when I was playing it. And it's, it doesn't mean like Ellie's section of the game is bad. It's not bad. It's just like, it is funny though. It almost feels like an introduction, like a really long introduction to the game, at times. So, but I don't know. I'm enjoying the game. I'm gonna finish it, probably before the next episode. But I just think the characters in this game are really cool. I think the story is, again, really well told. It is like super sad though. It's just like it is so like brutally fucking depressing, like at times. And it's weird because you play through the game through Ellie's perspective first, and then through another character, and you know what happens with a lot of the characters that character's interacting with, and it's like so depressing, dude. Where she's like talking to somebody, and you're like, man, this guy dies. Like, it's like, fuck, man. um so it's I don't know, it hits hard. I think it's worth playing. Like, if you didn't play this game because of the controversy or the leaks surrounding the game, but you liked The Last of Us Part 1, like you're doing yourself a disservice. Like this game is absolutely worth playing. The encounter design is so much better than the first game. The ways you can tackle encounters, just because of the way the environments are designed, is so different. The way you can like, because in the first game, a lot of the time, if you got caught in stealth and you were in combat, you're kind of in combat. Like you're not getting out of combat. The enemies like know where you are at all times. Even if they lose sight of you for an extended period of time, they know exactly where you are. It was that's kind of my point about the game feeling dated. Is like you can't get out of stealth a lot of the time in the first game once you are knocked out of stealth. Like you can't get back into stealth rather. In The Last of Us 2, it's totally different. It's not like that at all. Like if you get caught and you kill a couple enemies and you run away and you like slow down and like go prone and find a nice area to hide in, the enemies will lose you and you will be back into a kind of a alert, like a yellow alert stealth level where you can start stealthing again. And that is kind of a way to tackle a lot of these encounters. The areas are designed to give you escape routes out of sticky situations a lot of the time, and the fact that you can go prone is kind of a big reason for that. But there's a lot of buildings where there will be like a crack in the wall that like you can only get to by going prone, but that's how you get away. Like you'll like run up to that, you'll go prone, go inside, and then the enemies, they'll know you're there. But if you get away fast enough and like, you know, run down some stairs and duck into a couple rooms and then crouch and like just stop moving, the enemies will
Yeah.
lose you, you know. And I think it feels a lot better as a result, because if you fuck up an encounter, like you fuck up the stealth portion of an encounter, you're not totally fucked. Like you can still win the encounter, you know, fairly handily, if you
Hmm.
just play it right, you know. So I don't know. I just think the design of it's so much better than the first game, in terms of combat and stuff like that, and the options you have, you know, with combat as well. The ability, you know, like the ability to dodge in melee is like a fucking godsend in this game. It lets you take on much like a few more enemies than you normally would in melee. And I don't know, just feels better for it. So, definitely a worthwhile game to play. But Montreal, what have you been playing, man, this week?
We already talked about Overwatch. Played a little bit Apex Legends. Uh, really bad at it now because we stopped playing it for a week. It's weird. You kind of lose all your skills once you stop playing Apex Legends for like a week or two. Um,
Yeah.
this is the weirdest thing. We were like missing shots yesterday and shit, and we should have won like at least 10 or 15 encounters. It was
Well,
crazy.
hey, I'm playing
Uh,
on a console. I don't play controller, bro. So you know.
no, I totally blame it on me. I was missing shots and everything. It was crazy. Um, yeah, so I'm probably just gonna wait until the new season comes out. There's a lot of changes coming with the new season, so I'm probably gonna put it. I'm probably just gonna shelf it for right now. But I am excited for a lot of the new changes coming up. They're supposed to be changing the way rank is and addressing a lot of issues the community has with Apex Legends right now. And I think they're only doing that because Overwatch 2 is out and sucking out their community or their population. So
Yeah.
interested in seeing that. I put Valkyrie Elysium on here. I'm playing it a little bit. I
Mhm.
did not play the original Valkyrie Elysium, so please do not kill me. A lot of people played the original one. I didn't play the original one, and I'm not going to go back and play the original one. Uh, I like the combat in this game, and that's the primary reason I'm playing it. I can give a fuck about the story.
Mhm.
Like a lot of people so far I only play like 2 or 3 hours of it. A lot of people so far of the reviews I read of it because I think it has like a 65 on Metacritic or something like that, or 4.1 actually for a user score. Yeah, 65 overall. But like
Dang.
both the critics and the user scores, every time I read them, they've been from the perspective of this is lacking the narrative that the core game had, that the original game had, that this game had. And I'm like, I didn't play the original game, so I don't give a fuck about that shit. I actually like the combat, the role they went with the combat. I don't know if the original Valkyrie Elysium was like action combat focused, but this one is, and I love it. I can juggle and I can do cool combos and cast spells in the air. So you got me. Um, so yeah, a lot of people are pissed about that. Um, Besides that, I did finish Xenoblade Chronicles 3. This game is long as fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, so what do we want to do with that game? Because I wanted to do a spoiler cast. Do we still want to do
Uh,
that at some point?
yeah, we can do it. You better hurry up and do it before I forget the game, though. But yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't even know if I. I mean, do you want to just talk about it here a little bit? Because
Yeah,
honestly,
we can.
the only thing I want to talk about is the very end of the game. Like, most of the
Okay.
game up to the end of the game is
It's
fine.
filler.
It's fairly straightforward. Yeah, it feels like filler in retrospect, but I guess okay, guys, we're gonna talk about
Yeah, so
spoilers. Spoilers of
yeah, spoilers.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3 for a few minutes. So
Yeah, so
go ahead.
um so chapter my whole thing with the game is like I don't know if they could have done a better job at. First of all, I just want to get a couple of things out the way about the stuff that I do love about this game. I actually do love the combat. I think this combat, uh, it's not the best by any means. But I think the class system rewards you for just like learning the classes or
Yeah.
whatever. I thought one of the classes that I hated, which was the stalker class, I fucking hated that class when I first got it. Then once I learned what to do with it, just by like playing it a little
Hmm.
bit and learning, I noticed when I was playing it, that I'm getting my fucking talent arts very quickly. And I was like, oh, okay, must be like a talent art stacking class, and it is. Like, you can get your talent arts insanely quick with this
Is that
class.
the one with two
Um,
guns?
no, that's the one with this bow and arrow.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. The two guns one, that one is insane DPS. Like holy
Yeah.
shit. Like I was playing that one with Uni, and they had, so for the default of that class, you have a aggro uh nerf, like you can nerf the
Yes.
aggro on you when you get targeted or whatever. And
Hmm.
I'm like, I don't need this shit, whatever. My tanks can do a good job. Man, I was drawing so much aggro. I'm like, okay, I do need this shit because man,
Hmm.
she does a lot of, or that class in general does a lot of fucking damage.
Yeah,
And
it's up
it's
there with
crazy.
what's her name, Ethel's class in terms of like damage. Like
Oh yeah.
Ethel's class, bro. That shit, the tank couldn't keep up ever when I'm playing that
Yeah.
class, dude. That shit was insane. But no, the dual gun class, that one also is really good for talent art because you can actually have a third positional attack in
Yeah.
your setup, your loadout, which enables you to get your talent art more as a DPS or faster.
Yep.
So that was also a good class for the talent art as well, generation.
Yeah. And so I love and hate this part of the game. Healers are necessary because they're the only ones who can revive. But then you can get unlock something called a memory locket,
Yeah.
which is an item that enables any non-healer class to revive. And I had two healer lockets, and I only used one of them though. I'm sorry, memory lockets rather, and I use one of them though, and I put it on my off tank. I
Yeah.
always put it on my off tank.
Yeah.
Um, and I do like the class setup as well. Like you can go into a game with like all tanks and then healers. Like there were some instances I did that just for shits and giggles, and it worked out really well for me. Um, but I couldn't do like a all DPS class or all DPS and healers. That shit wouldn't work for me for
No.
some reason.
Yeah.
But I could do like one really good tank class, and then which was the hero class. What was her name? Monica. I was using her
Yeah,
class.
dude, that class is fucking nuts for tanks. Like
Yeah.
the level of aggro it generates and its fucking mitigation are like through the
Yes.
fucking roof. Like I was like this shit is so overtuned like compared to the one, the what's her name? Ajora, I think, where it's
Yeah.
like the dual-sided blade tank. That one is
Yeah.
like I wanted it to be good, but it's not that great. um it's like positioned as a damage tank class, but it's like the damage it does pales in comparison to a DPS still.
Yeah.
So
The best tank classes in there were the Cypher class. For me, it was the Cypher and the Defender. I think that's what they call it, the Defender class.
mhm.
Those are like the best ones, which is Monica class. So So at the end of the game, you unlock Mio's best friend. I forgot her name, Miyabi. So
Yes.
you unlock Miyabi. She is so fucking good. No, first of all, the best fucking healer or support class, hero class that you should have in your team is Fiona, like hands down. That class buffs you all the fucking time to where the
Fiona.
point you're Fiona.
Fiona.
She's
Which
the
one
one
was
that
that?
waves the flag, that has the flag.
Flag.
Oh, you
Is that a super late game class?
you kind of unlock her when you're doing the islands, when you get your ship, and you can if you explore the islands long enough. She's on an island herself with Colony 9, I think. And they have their own thing.
Did I not unlock that one? I might not have unlocked that. There was a couple
Uh,
classes I didn't unlock.
okay, yeah. I
Um,
mean, because we talked and you didn't unlock the Soul Hacker class, and
no,
I
the
unlocked her
robot. I
class.
didn't do the robot either.
Yeah. So yeah, her class is like objectively one of the best classes to have, because she constantly buffs you, and then when she gets buffed herself, she can pass on the buffs to other people. So
Hmm.
she's not really like a healer class, but she's like a fucking buff. She can just buff everybody. She's a support class in that aspect. And yeah, she's just really fucking good. She's not really too good for chain attacks, but like, yeah, buffing is it's insane because she can buff up your chain attacks before you get into the chain attack and you go in with more TP.
Hmm.
Um, but Mayabi, she was really good for Mio specifically. So if you use Mayabi in the chain attack, she gives Mio like a 50% buff
Yeah.
after you use her, and you have to use her that same turn. So and then it stacks on each other, as you know. So I
Yeah.
always had Mio as a defender class, and in any tank class after you end the chain attack, they always unlock the person with the highest TP at the end of the chain attack round. So she just kept getting unlocked, and then Miyabi just kept getting unlocked. So I just kept doing that, and by the end, I would have like when I get to like the final round, like fucking Mio would be like 230 TP or some shit like that. Something fucking insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was constantly getting like 1500. I didn't realize. So this is one thing I didn't like about the game. I actually turned it back down to normal so I can just hurry up and finish the game. But I was actually smashing easy or hard mode rather. But they nerfed all your numbers. Like when you're doing chain attacks, like the amount of TP that you can gain and
Yeah.
everything is just nerfed. It wasn't really a good feeling. I was wondering why I wasn't getting the chain attack damage I wanted, even though I got the highest chain attack damage in hard mode compared to my normal mode. But it was just weird. So but after I switched it back to normal mode, like towards the end of chapter 7, because I really just wanted to finish the fucking game. So I turned it back to normal mode and I was just smashing through everybody. Um, I don't know, like both dungeons, they did this shit in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. The last dungeon in Xenoblade 3 was fucking long. It wasn't as long as the one in Xenoblade 2, though. Xenoblade 2's dungeon was long as fuck
Hmm.
for no fucking reason. I have no idea why that shit was so fucking long.
It's a tree,
Uh,
man. It needed to be. It was a giant tree. They needed you to feel like it was a giant tree.
Man, that shit was long. And then on top of that, the field skills I had to go back and get in 2. I was
Oh
just weird.
no, I don't
Yeah,
remember.
so
I was like super thorough in two. I don't think I had to do any of that shit that you're talking about. Like,
yeah, man, it was I was not feeling 2 with that shit.
hmm.
With 3, I do like that her heroes unlock field skills for you, and that's it. Like there's no levels to them at all. It's like you have the field skills so you can fucking use it. And I'm
Yeah,
like, cool.
yeah,
And it wasn't like a um they give you the mandatory ones throughout the story. But other ones like you don't need them if you don't have them. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah,
So I did like that aspect, and it made exploring the landscape a lot more enjoyable because I wasn't worried about, do I need this field skill to unlock this treasure chest or whatever the fuck. And it's like,
yeah,
oh, okay, I don't. Um, so I did like that, and then I did like how your exploration was rewarded with a hero class. Unfortunately, I didn't get all. I think I missed like 3 or 4. But my stuff was rewarded for that purpose. So yeah, I did. Oh, I also for like story wise or character wise, I actually like these characters they still don't compare to like Shulk, Ryan, Fiora, Dumban, and Charlotte,
Yep.
and Melia. They still don't compare to those that dynamic. But I actually like
No,
these
this was a
characters a
really
lot.
good. This was a really good party, dude. So that's the one thing I want to give them props for is yeah, this party was really enjoyable. There was honestly no character by the end of the game that I thought was like didn't need to be there. Like
Exactly.
they were
Yeah.
all really good. I think Senna's like the closest, but honestly, even she has a lot of like really cool moments. I felt like throughout the game.
Yeah. Exactly.
And like so okay, I want to talk about story. That's kind of my big sticking point with this game because yeah, I agree with you with everything with the combat for the most part. I just like my annoyance with the game by the end was just like the obnoxiousness of the final dungeon and I was like burnt out in the game. I was done
Well,
with it.
I,
You know.
I did want to mention some bad stuff about the combat. One thing I didn't like is how they kind of force you to. The game kind of suggests like, "Hey, you might want to switch to another class," and it makes you feel like you need to go to another class when you actually don't. Another thing is the game kind of throws you into the six party thing from a three party to a six party,
Yeah.
and it's kind of overwhelming at first. Like I actually put the game down for like a day because it was hard for me to wrap my head around it when I did get the six party, and they kind of make you feel like you have to play every person at the same time while you're battling, which is not the case. You can pick one person
Yeah.
in one class, and you can like stick out with that. Um, but yeah, that's really the only negatives I have about the battle system.
Well,
I think once you
I
got
think the class leveling is really obnoxious, or not the leveling. It's the switching classes that
yeah, yeah,
that was something that Andy mentioned that it was like really killing him for the game. Like the reason why he's kind of dropped it is like when you are leveling all six at the same time and you finish them all and you have to change their class setup. It takes like 30 minutes to do.
yeah.
Um,
So
yeah.
I one thing they did add at the tail end of my fucking playthrough, which I'm so mad,
Oh, it's
they just
loadouts.
updated. Yes, you can do loadouts now.
Fucking come on! I knew it. I told you they were gonna do that, dude. That is such BS, man. It's like I'm sorry. That is like an essential feature for a game like this that has this kind of mechanic, these kind of mechanics. That is like it's really frustrating that like the early adopters get screwed and we have to play a shittier version of the game. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. I that sucks.
I feel like if Andy would have had that feature, it would have been a lot more manageable for him because he can set those up, and then if he needs to go back to his main class for like a main hard boss that he's playing against, he can easily
Yeah.
switch back to it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that is the sucky part about it. But one more good thing I have to say, my personal favorite character throughout the entire game was Uni. She's
Oh yeah.
unapologetically British and like
Absolutely.
like that arrogant Cockney, like I want to beat some like the street British. Like it's just
Like
hilarious how
she's gonna beat some ass, dude. Like
yeah, she's like if she was in a pub or something like that, she got drunk,
oh,
she'd be beating some
absolutely.
ass.
She's the first person in the brawl. Like like she's getting right in there, man. And like fucking what's his name? Oh my god, I'm blanking. It's been too long since I played. What's his name? Her like
Oh,
kind of
Tyon.
yeah. Tyon's like pulling her
Yeah.
out of trying to pull her out of the fight and completely failing miserably.
Yeah, she's one of my favorite characters. She was one of my favorite characters. It was a charm every time she was on the screen because her voice actor or voice actress rather knocked it out the park, bro.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
100%. So
Yeah, it's funny because early in the game, I'm like, she looked like really generic, like her character design, and I'm
yeah,
like, oh, this is like the throwaway, like generic female character, and it's like, dude, they fill her out so well throughout the game. Like
yeah,
her
exactly.
personality comes out like so hard. So it like yeah, she's probably my favorite party member too. To be honest with you.
Yeah, so but yeah, going to the story like you said at the end, like the boss you were talking what were you saying about the end?
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about like being kind of done with the game by the end because um I just burn out. These games are like too long for me at this point, and
Yeah.
it's I don't know. I think this game in particular though was too long, given the fact that I feel like a lot of the story was filler in the game, and that's not to say that I didn't enjoy those portions of the story. I actually really like the early part of the game. Um, a lot, like in terms of story and stuff, but my issue lies in like how long it goes before the game ever gives you a meaningful reveal, you know?
Yeah.
You don't get a meaningful reveal in the game until chapter 5
Yes,
or
that's true.
6 even. It might even be 6. Is chapter 6 the one where you go to prison? Like you're
Yes.
imprisoned? Yeah, that
So
that's
you
it
it's
takes till
chapter 5, chapter 6.
yeah,
So it's
chapter
like it kind of
5.
melds. Yeah, it kind of melds into each other.
Yeah,
So
5 is
yeah,
when they attack Keva's castle, right?
yeah, yep.
Yeah. And that is presented as a big story moment, but nothing important happens there, really. It's kind of a meaningless moment in like the retrospect of the entire game, looking back on it, because nothing important happens there. You hear Melia's name, you know, and what's his name? N shows his face for the first time and like, fights you and kind of kicks the shit out of the party, and then the people
Well,
from the people from the city rescue you, and that's it. It's not like it's a good moment in the game. I do think it is a good moment in the game. It's just like it's just like looking at the story as a whole, though. It takes way too many hours for you to get to meaningful story progression, to me, and it like it to the point that I think it's like obnoxious. Like they're almost like they're taking their style and pushing it to an extreme that I'm starting to dislike. Because dude, like Xenoblade Chronicles 1 doesn't have that problem, you know? Like there's meaningful story moments throughout the entire game, you know? Like from the jump. And then 2, even 2, I feel like has meaningful moments immediately, you
mm,
know? Like as much as I've bashed on that game, before, dude, the shit that happens right at the beginning of the game is like super important, and yes, there are big sections right after that like there's kind of a giant continent you go through that's like huge, where not a lot happens, but at the end of that, there's a pretty meaningful story moment that happens there. Whereas with 3, it's like there's a big moment early in the game where the party comes together, and
yeah.
that is really important, obviously, to the plot. And then there's like 4 chapters of just traveling. Like it's it, you know?
Yeah, so I did look at it like this. I think this game is a perfected version of 2.
Yeah,
It's not really. It's from what if you go since I played them back to back, I kind of see what they were trying to do.
yeah,
So 2, they were really trying to be character focused, in my opinion.
yeah.
Like that's why you had large swaths of the
They
game
wanted you to
where,
get to know the party. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. They wanted you to understand why Rex is, why Pyra the way she is, and then Mithra, and then why Mia is the way they are, and everything. They really wanted you to understand that. And I think, personally, in my opinion, I think they failed at that.
in 2,
Um,
definitely.
yeah, I think they failed. I actually did like Rex, but the
Yeah, I just
problem
don't think
was
that party overall is that strong though. Like it's
exactly.
not a memorable group. Like Nia
Um,
is the most memorable character. Um, and they kind of
it,
do her dirty in that game. So
yeah,
it's, uh,
but they kind of recognize that she is one of the most memorable characters, and they bring her back in
well,
this
they
game.
put her in this game. Yeah, true.
Yeah, so um, but this game is like a perfected version of that, where all the characters. I didn't. I understand if you're just trying to like get to the main story beats, but
Hmm.
for me, the character side stories and then their interactions with other characters and how they're watching their colonies since they had been quote unquote woke. Now they're woke.
Yeah.
Uh, they since since they got woke or whatever, they can see they starting to see the flaws and everything like that, and
Yeah.
they're starting to learn about the world and why this is and that and third, and then they're having to deal with it as who they are and everything like that. And I actually
Hmm.
like that that aspect of it. It was a character journey. You were journeying with the party, and I felt like I was with the party when I was like with them
Hmm.
as I was venturing with them. I will agree with you that the main plot is weak as fuck. In my opinion, it doesn't pick up until 4 and 5, and even or yeah, about 4 and 5, and even that plot twist that they threw in there was kind of underwhelming to me. It was cool, but it was underwhelming to me because I just like the characters. So the character arcs were so really cool, in my
Yeah, I
opinion.
think so. My favorite section of the game in the story Not in gameplay. This section of the game actually kind of sucks in gameplay, but like it's cool though in an immersion from an immersion standpoint. Like I was like not enjoying it, but enjoying it at the same time. The section where you're in the prison,
Yeah,
I really really enjoy that section of the game from a story perspective.
yeah,
Especially that montage when they get captured right after that, where there's like the month that passes before Mio is going to be basically executed, essentially.
yeah.
I thought that section of the game was really cool, and there was a lot of. I just felt like, obviously that was the low point for the party, but you really get the you know these characters at this point, like they've done a really good job of teaching us who they are, and I really like the way, I don't know, I just like the way those events played out. It feels really,
It kind of challenged their morality as a party.
yes, it did, yeah,
Like
right.
a lot of other games try to do that, and I don't feel like they capture that essence. They okay,
Yeah,
so this is what
like
I mean
how
with it.
far were they willing to go for what they were trying to achieve, And
Exactly.
yeah,
And this is where I feel like this is why I say this is a better version of two, because they tried to do this in two. They took fucking pyro away from you,
yeah,
and you're like powerless again. You only have your fucking, and then they put you in a dungeon where you're nerfed and everything like that, right? In two, and
yeah,
I remember they just tried so many things to nerf you as the player to make the party feel like, oh, this is why we need to come together and blah 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 blah. And it's like
yeah,
I didn't enjoy it because I was playing through it, and I'm like, this shit's fucking stupid. And I think they realized that, and they're like, instead of just nerfing the party, how about we just make a section where they're just fucked? And that was the
yeah,
prison section. They were just fucked the entire section. The good guys won, or the bad guys won, and there was nothing they can do about it. And even in the Deus Ex Machina part, I don't feel like that was a Deus Ex Machina part. That was like an actually well written part. Like that was an anime, and they were
yeah.
doing
They
that.
they set the twist up. I think they
Yeah.
actually did. When it happened, I wasn't like, oh, this is bullshit. I was like, oh,
Oh,
okay,
yeah,
this is
exactly.
why Mio was acting weird,
Yeah,
like
exactly. Because
because
if you go back,
because that's
right?
my point. They teach you who these people are, that including Mio, and she wasn't acting right in the prison. Like when she was separated from them and she started talking to Noah, like
Yeah,
you could tell something was off. It was weird that she was just accepting her fate.
exactly.
Because remember a chapter or two before that, when they were in the forest section with all the skyscrapers, like she's literally like fucking yelling at him, like look, I have a month, or like 2 months until I fucking die, like you guys all have a year or two left, like
Yeah.
and she's like fucking screaming at him about that. Like, you think that same person is literally just gonna accept dying in this way, like in this moment where you just fail? Like, I don't think so. So to
See,
me, it felt like it was set up to me. I think it worked.
and that's interesting because I felt the opposite way, but for the same reason that you're saying, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I felt like she really gave up. Like, damn, I only have a couple days left because we don't know how long they were in that prison. So it's like I only have a couple days left. Here's my homecoming, and
Hmm.
I didn't achieve what I wanted to achieve. So I'm really like about to die like this, and that
Yeah.
was like her depressing moment. But if you notice, I didn't even notice it until Reddit pointed it out, and I went back and like watched the chapters or whatever.
Hmm.
Throughout that switch, she never called him Noah. She
That's what I was.
always called
Yeah.
him Noah.
No, I know that's yeah, exactly. She there was a point where she says um something about my Noah or something like that, and like that was like your tell that this isn't the same person,
Yeah.
because yeah, she never called him Noah really throughout the game up to that point, I don't think. So there
Yeah.
were
I
hints. There were definitely hints.
yeah. And yeah, when that happened, and then she revealed, the real Mio, and it revealed who she was and everything like that. I just thought that section of the game was like really cool because then like N was like fucking
Well,
fury.
the
He's
the
like,
voice
bro,
acting, dude, the voice acting there was phenomenal. I thought
yeah,
I
yeah,
thought the guy playing Noah and N was fucking amazing in that section, dude. Like, that was like, I was like, that was the part where I was like, okay, this guy won me over. I've been kind of like on the fence about him a little bit, but dude, he fucking got me there. Like, N was
yeah.
fucking devastated. Like it was oh, so good. Like, it was super good. I think it was super well acted there. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I really like that section of the game. I think so I want to talk about the city a little bit though, and the sword, the Makana sword. So what did you think about the city and all that? Because to me, I kind of feel like the city was underdeveloped in the game, and I don't feel like it got enough of a focus. It felt
Yes. I felt like it was a jumping off point. Um,
yeah
I felt like I've been thinking about that actually for the last couple of days. I felt like during the writing process,
hmm
and I used to write short stories and stuff like that when I was like young. And you try to build up to this one climax, and then once you get to that climax, you realize that as it's not as important as you thought it was as a writer, and you
yeah
kind of write past it. And I felt like that's what they did. They kind of just wrote past it because I understand what they were trying to do. And even up to the lead up to the city, you hear a certain dialogue. What the fuck is a city? I don't even know what a city is.
right
There were certain things, and then I remember one section of the game where you're watching like I forgot the animals' names, but they're watching the animals and they're like, "Yo, why is that the smaller version of the bigger animal? Like, what's up with that?" So they're asking these questions and they don't
yeah.
understand. And I feel like the city really was there to just tell you, like, hey, they really don't understand how life is truly
Like
supposed to
give you
be.
context on how clueless they
Yeah,
are, yeah, of how like
exactly.
one directional all of their lives are, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Like they just didn't understand the concept of like smaller children or really small children because they were small at one point, but they were like preteens and they became teenagers. Um, but they didn't understand the concept of like sex, babies, fucking old people, and everything. Like even when Vandom they first met Vandom, they were like, "Why do you look like that? Like you, like what is that?" And he was like, "Oh, I
yeah.
forgot. You guys don't go past a certain term and everything." So it was just like uh, I think the city was just there to explain a lot of shit that was going on that I didn't even realize until like a couple of chapters
Well,
in. I
they
was
didn't
like,
even
oh
know
yeah,
what birth was, like having a baby.
exactly,
They don't.
exactly.
They had no concept of that because yeah, they just come out and they're like, mostly they're like partially grown already.
Yeah, so uh I don't know, I thought it was cool. One part that confused me, maybe you can like elaborate. I didn't get the cycles because like she said that this has been going on for years.
Yeah.
So you saw like obviously you saw the Shulk statue or somebody who looked like Shulk, and then you saw like someone who was Rex or he was Rex or whatever. So I didn't get that. Like did the worlds combine and then they started to go through this process or whatever? Like
Well,
I just
okay,
didn't get that
no. So
part.
this is we're getting into the end of the game here, but but yeah. So this is where I started to dislike what they did here. This game ultimately feels like filler because of the way they designed the story. Is that yes, the worlds were colliding; they were about to collide. Nia and Melia were respectively the leaders, I guess, of Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2's world.
Hmm.
Of those worlds, and they were coming into each other. They were going to collide into each other, and basically everybody was going to die. And they were trying to figure out a way to prevent that. And they created that giant contraption that is the final dungeon, whatever the fuck it's called. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But
The
they
origin. There you
yeah,
go. Origin.
Origin. They created that thing to prevent, I think, to prevent the collision or give people a kind of a like a place to be safe
Yeah.
while it was occurring, so everybody wouldn't die or whatever. And what ended up happening though is this is the part of the game that fucking makes no sense. Is that Zed just appears, out of nowhere. He just whatever. He just fucking some dude that shows up and he stops the collision. Probably, it sounds like in mid like stream, like it was happening, and he just like stops it, and time is stopped. And that's like the whole concept of the late part of the game is that they're fighting for the endless now. They keep calling it, and that is literally like it's just a stasis. Like time is not progressing. They are literally in a time stasis, and this entire world is in a time stasis. And these people, these cycles, like they could have been going on for 1,000 years. It's kind of the way it sounded.
Yeah.
Because those people, Shulk and Rex and all those people, like whoever those founders were, like I don't know. That might be what the DLC goes into more, is the founders and shit. But
Yeah.
I kind of hope so. Actually, I think there's needs to be more context there. Um, but yeah, the founders, like they were really really long time ago.
Okay.
Those people, like
Because I do understand the concept that there are other Ouroboros or
yeah,
that
and
try to
that's
do
the
this.
that's the cycle is like the Ouroboros that exist in a cycle. Now,
Yeah.
the cycle that we're in the game is short because the characters who get the Ouroboros powers are within the 10-term confines, so they will die very quickly. But I think when one group of Ouroboros die, another group get the powers at some
Yeah.
point. That's kind of what was implied. So it's I don't know what the time frame is in the game. They don't really tell you, but dude, it could be anywhere between 100 years and 10,000 years. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter because the time is not truly progressing in reality.
Yeah. And I get that part. My part, I guess that does make sense
Yeah,
because they showed different heroes, and I was like, okay, well maybe these are the heroes, the last Ouroboros that founded the city, or whatever. And my thing is within, right?
yeah.
He said that like I'm pretty much you, and we tried this like umpteen times to the point where I had,
Yeah,
I got to the point.
he kept getting reborn over and over and over again. And he was part of the cycle, right? And his
Yeah,
cycle would always lead him to fighting Zed, and he would always lose. Him and Mio would always lose every time.
yeah, yeah,
Which
exactly.
is
So
eventually why he
how
gave
did they
in.
split? Yeah, so that's my thing. How did they split
I have
though?
no fucking clue. They don't
Okay,
explain.
that's what
They don't even
they don't.
explain. They don't explain that. Yeah.
I thought maybe I missed that part of why they decide why those two were the only ones that split and not the entire
Yeah.
party. Because I thought I thought it was gonna be like, oh well,
The
Sinners.
consoles were all gonna be
Yeah,
like one of the party members, right? Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought that too
but
for a while, but it didn't happen that way. Yeah.
yeah, it didn't happen that way. So, uh, I guess that would probably be DLC too. Why they split and how the split happened. Because I thought that was interesting that the concept of like, I'm the other versions of you, and then you came out, and it's it's like I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, so like there's a.
it's almost like they were like a nobody. Like the Mobius version of them is like a
I was just about
nobody.
to say that, yeah.
No, dude, there's so many Kingdom Hearts parallels in this game with the blades and yeah, the Mobius. They're like nobody. They're literally like nobodies. Like
Well, because you remember Zed said I was born of all the negative emotion and all
yes,
the
yeah, I know,
anxiety
dude. It's
of one
Kingdom
body.
Hearts, bro. Like Origin is Kingdom Hearts. Like like all you got to do is put Goofy and Donald in the game and bang, like. Gosh, Noah, we gotta defeat the Mobius. And bang, there you go. Kingdom Hearts 4, everybody. We just wrote the script. Let's go.
Oh my god, what they say in collaboration with Monolith Soft.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. Oh my god, that would be so funny. But
But yeah, that's how I was feeling. I was like, are these Mobius just like nobodies or whatever? But like it sounded like yeah, like Noah was the no or N was the nobody of Noah or vice versa or something like that. I don't know.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I thought the concepts were cool. It's just like they didn't really execute some of those
No, I think everything
good.
around Mobius to me is a kind of a disappointment. I thought
Yes.
Zed, the final confrontation with Zed was stupid. Like, it was JRPG nonsense where he has like 8 forms and fucking like I don't like he's like oh I'm a fucking cloud of angry emotions and this is my true form. It's like all right, dude. Like okay, man. Like whatever you say, bro. Like and no, and I think the other thing that was like I found annoying was that the final boss fight you start off fighting him like as like his human-ish form, and he takes all your powers away. You can't do anything. You can't do chain attacks. You can't go into your Ouroboros form. And this is like the thing they do in Xenoblade Chronicles all the time, where like the characters lose their powers for whatever reason. But it always feels so arbitrary. Like, dude, it's like, why did you suddenly get all your powers back? Like it's just like Naruto willpower. Like, oh, believe it, we got our Ouroboros powers back,
Yeah,
guys.
so
Like,
they literally did that during the fight, and I was like,
yeah,
this is why I start watching anime again because I was like I was actually enjoying all this shit. I was like, wow, they
and
just
then they ruined it.
sheer
They
will,
ruined it
yeah,
at the end.
like yeah, they just it's like Tyon like lost his powers or whatever. Then he had a speech, and it was like it did it did the fucking
Oh my
anime
god,
flashback
dude.
shit,
It's
and then I was.
so yeah. Yeah, no, it got kind of bad there at the end to me. Like it was like cuz yeah, why is the boss sitting there watching these characters monologue? Like I don't understand why they do this shit where like the boss is right there fighting you, like you haven't done anything to stop him and he's just listening to Tyon go on about, "Oh, I got to help Uni and fucking these are my friends." Like okay, dude.
Yeah, it was pretty like it
Like,
was
like,
bad.
why didn't he just Frieza them? You know, like fucking finger blast a finger beam at through their heart. You know, like that's I don't
Well,
know.
you know what's funny? I did like one part of the of that of the fucking game where
Hmm.
you fucking meet Nia, right? You unlock her, and she's getting out of the chamber, the Stacy's chamber, and everybody, and then like Jay,
No,
D and J
bro.
shoot her to the fucking.
Dude, I was raging. I was like, dude, I was raging, right? Like, cause they've been teasing Melia and Nia like the whole fucking game, right? Like, cause it was to me like I knew the queens were Melia and Nia like right away, like the second the game started, because Melia's fucking hair is so distinct as a character, and the queen literally has her fucking hair, you know,
Yeah,
the Queen of Keves. So I knew it was Melia immediately. I'm like, that's fucking Melia, dude. Like, and Nia was a little bit harder to figure out because she's so similar to Mio. I thought she was Mio for a little bit, and then I was like, oh
yeah,
no,
me too.
it's
Yeah,
Nia. When you like listen to the voice, it's fucking Nia, dude. And so like I'm the whole game I'm waiting for these characters to show up, right? And yeah, you finally get to the thing. You know it's Nia. You see her. You open the thing. It's fucking Nia. And then they shoot her through the fucking neck or whatever the fuck they do, and she literally like stops breathing and she never even says a word. And dude, I was fucking raging. This is the one time I was like fighting a boss and I wanted to fucking murder these guys, bro. I'm like, you did not just rob this reunion from me right now, and I fucking obliterated those two, dude, in that boss fight.
you know,
And then
I did too. I
and then
wasn't as upset, but I was.
yeah.
That's Nia's one of my favorite
But
characters, so I was
then
like,
they
I was
fucking
pissed.
they fake us out, and I'm like, oh my fucking god, dude!
Well,
Like,
well, you gotta look at it from the perspective of like maybe people didn't play Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and then the characters don't know about blades and how they can't really die. They can just get injured really bad.
yeah,
So when that happened and I was like, oh, she's getting right back up, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot she's a fucking blade, so she can just regenerate. It's gonna,
yeah,
depending on the damage.
yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
That was a callback to like Xenoblade Chronicles 2. But I'm pretty sure a lot of people who didn't play Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and went straight to 3 was just like, oh, this is some anime bullshit. And it's like, no, they have a reason for that, why she didn't die or whatever. So I thought that was pretty cool though.
Well, and yeah, I thought the reunion with her or the meeting with her was cool but it was funny though when the party they like meet her and they're all excited and like she's telling them all this information and they literally just leave. Like she's like in the middle of talking to them and they just turn around and walk away. Like they don't even say bye. They just leave. And
even she
she's like
even she addresses that like, yo, what the fuck?
she's like, okay, I guess see you later, guys. Like, and then they immediately come back and talk to her again for the next quests, you know, to get those stupid pieces you need for the boat or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I guess you're back now, huh? Like, it was fucking. But no, I liked her sequences in the game, and I really enjoyed Melia. Of course, she's one of my favorite characters from one. I like that she was in the game as well. I think it was really frustrating to me though. This is the part of the game that like annoyed me though. Is that I like the fact that those characters were there, but it really annoyed me that it was only those characters from
Yeah.
the first and second games. Like, where's everybody else? And that's the part that frustrates me is that this is a time stasis, and it sounds like none of the characters from the first and second game are dead at the end of this game. They're alive. Like
I see. I think they're the
no,
way it made it
dude.
sound like to me. It made it sound like that this is like thousands of years in the
No,
future.
it
So I
wasn't.
thought all of
It's
them
not.
died.
That was the time stasis that was thousands of years. Like the actual worlds of Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2, I think they collided very shortly after both of their games. And I
Mm,
think that is indicated by the picture of Rex with everybody, like at the end of the game that they show you. Um,
yeah.
that's like the current state of those characters at the end of this game. I think that is legitimately where they are. Rex is a Giga Chad, and he, he did it, man. He did it. He's got 3 different kids with 3 different women. Apparently, they're all cool with it. Like, you know,
Well, I mean,
and
remember that answered that question, right? Remember I asked that question a long time ago when I was playing Xenoblade
yeah, you
Chronicles
did.
1 or
You're like,
I was like,
why are people calling Rex a Giga Chad, bro? Like,
yeah,
and I'm
I
like,
asked the question.
I'm dying. I was like dying. I was like, oh no.
Well, you remember I asked the question too, like, can blades have babies? I'm like,
Oh
'cause I'm
yeah,
pretty sure in the game, in 2, they said like people used to marry their
they
blades, and I'm
can.
like,
Yeah,
can
yeah,
blades have babies?
yeah.
Uh,
They
but
can.
yeah, I thought that was pretty funny when I saw that picture. I'm like, wow, he slept with all 3 of his blades, and was like, yeah, I did this.
Yeah,
Like,
and apparently they're all cool with it too. So,
yeah, they're all cool with it.
you
So,
know. But
uh, but
yeah, but so to me that picture is like the current state of those characters at the end of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Like when the worlds uncollide and they break apart and they separate from each other. I think that's where they are. Like Rex has 3 babies, and you know everybody else is cool, and you
I'm,
know.
I'm, I feel so like I don't feel like okay, he's a cool character, right? But like that should have been Shulk. Like Shulk should
Well,
have had like 5 wives,
okay,
bro.
so
Like,
the
come on, man.
the only thing that gives me pause is that Melia had the Monado in a
Yeah.
compartment. Why is that? So is
Well,
Shulk actually dead in the Xenoblade Chronicles 1 world, or is he
I
just
think
not
he
using
is.
is he not using the Monado for some reason? I don't know. So that's kind of that's the thing though, because the Kevez characters Noah, Lands, and Uni are from the Xenoblade Chronicles 1 world, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And the 3 Tyon, Senna, and Mio are from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And so they're kids though at the end of the game, right? Like they're back to being kids again in their respective worlds. So I think there's gonna be I mean, this wasn't a definitive end to anything. Like I think there's gonna be a Xenoblade Chronicles 4, you know, and like they could conceivably continue this with these characters if they wanted to, you know. Um, and
The only thing is like in 2, like what happened to all the blades?
that's what pissed me off at the end of this game was like I thought this was like supposed to be an endpoint for this trilogy or something, but it wasn't. It feels like an interstitial, like you know.
I feel like they ended it. Like I feel like to me, I feel like they ended it, but they left it open, but it still ended it. Like they the worlds are uncolliding and they're going to be their own separate worlds. They did say like one day it may collide again and but it'll be a more peaceful collide or whatever. But for right now, we've we separated it. So
Averted disaster, yeah.
exactly. So um I don't know. The thing that left me disappointed was I kind of did want everything to come back together because they've been hinting at this in Xenoblade Chronicles 1 that our Earth, the Earth that me and you live on, like we caused all this,
Yeah.
and now our Earth just doesn't exist. And then I was thinking about like Xenoblade Chronicles X, and I was like, what if this happened? What if X happened while all that was going on? Like before they even did the Earth colliding thing, there was a small group of people, almost like Mass Effect Andromeda, right? Like people who didn't have faith in fucking Shepard left, and then that's why they had Andromeda. Like, what if these
Well,
people
remember,
fucking
so I've thought about that too, and I think it's possible that X is connected to this, but you do need to remember the context of X at the beginning. Is that aliens invaded Earth and like killed everybody?
Oh yeah, that's true. That's
So
true.
they could conceivably still wrap it in where they were designing this whatever system they were designing, like trying to save Earth, and they ended up creating a whole nother world or something. But um, so it's possible. I don't know. I've thought about that
Yeah.
too. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wish we had gotten an appearance from some of the other characters from the first 2 games. I don't like how much things were teased and not really explained because, like the dude, do you remember the moment with when they save Melia right at the end, and
Mhm.
she like fucking nods at Riku or whatever, and it's like they know each other.
Yeah, I
Clearly they
thought I
know
thought
each
he was
other.
gonna be I thought he was gonna be like what's his face from Xenoblade Chronicles 1? What's the no palm's name on there? Is it
Ricky,
Riku? Ricky. I thought it was gonna be Ricky or somebody
Well,
like
I
that, or
mean,
maybe
yeah,
a descendant.
Riku, Ricky, but no, she was she like gestured towards him. They kind of like had a moment where it's like they know each other, like know
Yeah,
each other. This isn't
exactly.
like Riku's like, oh, like she's like, oh, I, like she's having a moment with him. No, like they literally know each other.
Well, yeah,
So
you're right too. I just thought about a line that Nia said as well. She was like, well, from a certain we designed Origin from the specs of a certain Nopalm engineer, and I'm like, oh, that had to be fucking Tora.
yeah.
Like Tora was like a genius, because he made the artificial
Well,
blade.
which is
And
that's exactly why I think this story, like these characters aren't dead. Most of them is
they
like,
only showed the ones that that could conceivably live forever. Like they didn't show. Well, I guess Pyro and
yeah, but
Mythra can live forever
how
too.
long did Nopon live?
I don't know. That's a good
They're
question.
not they're
I'm not
not
sure.
that long lived, like that much longer than a human.
Yeah, but they showed Poppy at the end. You remember Poppy came
Yeah,
to
that's
help
right.
fucking
Poppy was there. So like, why was she?
They didn't show none of the. I thought, oh man, this would have been cool. When I saw Monica, I thought she was Charlotte. I was like, oh, is that Charlotte? And it was like, nah, Monica. I was like, fuck.
Damn, bro, Charlotte got thick, dude. If that was her, holy shit! Oh my god. Oh damn, dude. Nah, no. Yeah, I don't know. There's like flashes of these characters in a lot of the other characters, because you're right. Yeah, Charlotte does kind of remind me, like Monica does kind of remind me of Charlotte a little bit, with the way she looks. And so I don't know. I think that's why the game annoys me. Is like the end of this game really annoys me. Is that there's so many questions. Like we have so many questions right now. All we're doing is asking questions. Like there's no answers to any of these. Like the main
Yeah,
plot had a resolution, but like I didn't even care about the main plot by the end of the game. I'm just like, what the fuck, the Zed guy, whatever, dude. Like, yeah, the fucking Heartless took over, and we got to defeat the Heartless, great, and unlock Kingdom Hearts, wonderful. It's like,
but like even they, I feel like they did a lot of intentional shit. Like even in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, right? I didn't play the Battle for Torna or whatever,
mhm.
which I had to go play that DLC for two.
I need to play that too.
But apparently it has like a lot of spoilers and Shulk's involved and shit like that. So it's
Wait,
like
what?
I think I'm not sure, but from what I understand, like I saw like thumbnails and
Hmm.
I didn't click on it, but I saw Shulk in the thumbnail. But
Hmm.
but like you remember Noah, right? His flute trainer,
Yeah.
uh Chris looks exactly like fucking Shulk. And I'm like, is this Shulk or a descendant of Shulk? And no, it's just like a random character that looks like Shulk. I was like, I was so upset.
Well,
Like
dude, the founder statues are right too, though. There's a couple of them that look exactly like. There's one that looks like Shulk. Like he's
the
got
first one, the
he's
first one
got
to
the
the right.
dude. He's got the fucking goggles that Shulk wore at the beginning of the game. Like I don't like what the fuck. Like that's my point. That's why I get so. That's why I'm like so annoyed. Like I don't. Did Shulk die like a valiant death fighting Mobius? Like that would be horrible. Like fucking like fuck that. I'd be so upset if that's how they make that character go out.
Well, my
Because
thing
dude,
is like,
that guy, the guy who plays Shulk, by the way, like I'm pretty sure he had a voice he played a voice in this game. Like he's not opposed to coming back probably and being Shulk again. I'm like, bro, just bring the character back. Like fuck me.
well, interesting fact, Mio and Nia's voice actress is the same people, so
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
probably why.
actually, you know what, Shulk? Yeah, he did the DLC that they added to the original Xenoblade. The Bionis shoulder thing at the
Okay,
epilogue. Yeah, him and Melia's voice actress, the two of them came back for that and like voice lines. So like he has been part of this franchise recently again. So
I don't know. I think we're definitely gonna get more Xenoblade shit because I think all these games sold incredibly well. I think
oh no,
they
three
exceeded.
three has kicked the shit like has kicked it out of the park, dude. I think sales wise compared to I think it's the fastest selling one that they've ever released. So the series is
Yeah,
doing
like
better and better.
yeah, I think this series actually took Nintendo by surprise. To be honest with you, When 2 came
Well,
out, I don't think they
clearly they
expected.
didn't even want to localize it. Dude,
I know, right?
remember we had to do like an internet petition, like pre fucking Twitter, to like get this shit localized. Like,
Damn, this shit sold over 100,000 copies the first fucking week in Japan. God damn.
just Japan, yeah.
Just Japan, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's getting bigger, dude. It's getting bigger. I mean, this is Nintendo's Final Fantasy. We've said that before. Like
They have to shorten that time though. Like the time to they have to. I think
I think,
Microsoft needs to know how to rein their story
yeah,
in.
this is yeah, that's my takeaway too. I think they need to reduce the scope of these games and get them out more quickly. Honestly, um, because
Because
yeah,
I mean, I love the game and I love the combat. It's kind of hard for me, and that's the sucky part about this game, like or about this franchise in general.
mhm.
Because especially Xenoblade Chronicles 1, I think the game, especially Xenoblade Chronicles 1, the story is just phenomenal. Now we're saying that it's as far as like 2 has the weakest story, but as far as like a Xenoblade game, it does have a weak story. But compared to other JRPGs, it's actually very strong.
It's still
You know what
very
I'm saying?
strong. Yeah,
Yeah. And 3, like,
it's
yeah,
better
it's a
than
very.
most. Like, I'll put it in this context: the stories in all the Xenoblade games, besides X, are better than most Final Fantasy games.
I'm glad you said besides X. X really has the
Yeah,
story
X is
right
ass.
there.
X's story is like literally legitimately horrific. Like, it's so bad. Like laughably hilariously bad. It's,
uh,
I don't know
yeah, it's
what
really.
happened. I don't know what happened there because, dude, the side quests and the like world building through side quests is amazing in that game, but the main story is complete dog shit. Like,
Bro, I really think I honestly think in my whole heart of hearts
yeah,
they planned on making this game an MMO, and then Nintendo like shut it down at the last minute. It was like, nah,
yeah. They're like,
nobody's
we
looking at
can't
it.
even sell like 10 Wii U's in a week. No,
Yeah,
nobody's gonna play an MMO on this
yeah,
console.
exactly. But like, yeah, I think they just need to rein it in. Um, it's hard for me to recommend this game to people because it's like, bro, they're like, oh man, I see you doing the combat and the combat looks cool. And I'm like, it took me hours to get here though. Like the shit that I be doing, it took me hours to get there. You're not going to unlock that shit
Hmm.
right off the bat. The thing with 3 that I hated was the art canceling. And
Yeah,
you just get it randomly. It was
yeah,
no story behind it. There's like, oh, you
yeah.
got the Starker class, and here's art canceling. I'm like, bro, what? That's all I needed. Like
It's such an
to
important
progress.
mechanic, dude. Like, and yeah, it's just like arbitrarily. Like, why isn't that just unlocked from the beginning of the game? I don't like. I don't. That's the kind of thing that I don't get. It's just like arbitrary. Like they're literally just like, well, we never give you guys this stuff right away. You know, like we got to hold something back, and it's like the most
Well,
important mechanic in the game. Like, what are you talking
so that's
about?
that was my biggest argument with Andy too. About 2 and 1. 2 does the same shit. A lot of
Hmm.
people don't understand that, but they do the
Hmm.
same fucking shit.
No,
You have to unlock.
two's even worse because
Yeah.
if you don't know better, you can miss out on a
Oh yeah.
major combat mechanic if you don't buy the skill point for it.
Exactly.
Like literally.
Yeah, so once you unlock the canceling in 2, then the game gets really fucking fast. And I couldn't understand. I remember talking to Andy, and this is how I remember. I remember he was working in the fucking not the DC. But what's the other area? Fuck. The level 1 area, the resource center.
Resource
I
center. Oh
remember,
yeah.
yeah, because he was sitting in his corner that he had, and I was like, Andy, when does the gameplay get faster? He's like, oh, you have to unlock canceling. And I went home and I unlocked art cancel. I was like, oh, okay, this is where it gets better. But if I didn't ask Andy that question, I probably would have threw this game in the fucking trash because I was like, it's not as fast as 1. That 1, you get your art canceling right then and there. Like as soon as the art's up, you can do it, yo. Like,
Hmm.
like, and that is a major
Yeah, I
component of
don't think
why.
one doesn't have true canceling, right? It's just that like everything's on cooldown and like you
Exactly.
just use them when they're off cooldown, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like as soon as they're up, you can use them, but you can interrupt your other art.
Oh yeah,
Well,
yeah,
actually,
yeah.
you can. It's like a it's not like a stacking. It's like it's not it's queuing, so you can queue it up. So
Yeah.
as soon as one art is done, you can queue it up for the other art.
Yeah.
So it's almost like canceling, but it's way faster. If that makes any sense.
Hmm.
Um, So I don't know. Like one's combat was like really fucking good. Um, I mean, it was obnoxious towards the end where I had to like learn the gem
It's
system and shit
just
like that.
weird that they got so far away from that with 2 and
Yeah,
3. I don't know why. That's what I find puzzling because when you go from 1 to X, there's like a clear line there
those
where
are two different games, man. Like
yeah,
combat wise,
no,
two
but
different
no,
games.
but X is like very similar to 1 to
Oh no,
me.
you said X. I'm thinking about two.
Yeah, no,
I'm thinking
yeah,
about
that's what
two.
I'm saying. Yeah, there's like a clear line between those two, right? Where there's like a
Yeah.
very clear improvement that they made with X. I think X's combat is better than one's. Like,
Oh, it
and
is. Yeah.
and the game, the systems in that game are really fun, and the class system is awesome, and the whole mechanics around guns that you have, where you have like a whole loadout with your gun as well. You know, like they really like expanded on like did they feel like they perfected it and that's why they went in the direction they did with 2? Because that's what I don't get, because it's like, yeah, like you were just saying, 2 and 1 couldn't be further away from each other in my opinion in the way they play. I know
And
Andy
then
like
even
probably disagrees with us, but I'm sorry that like 2 to me is just like a totally different game, you know, like
oh no, it is. It's a totally different game. I think they really wanted to do button mapping, and that's why they designed the way two is because they did it with three too. Three has button mapping, and I was to the point where I'm like, bro, just give me the bar at the bottom so I can have like 5 or 6 abilities and just go crazy.
that's been my no, that's legitimately been my issue with the series since like 2 and 3 is yeah, I don't like the fact that you only have like 3 abilities at any given time. Like, you know, it
Well, they
feels
did fix it in three where you can have
yeah,
the
but
where
they,
you
they didn't
hold it.
though. They didn't though, because yeah, you get 6, but you can combine them together, so you really still only have 3, you know?
Yeah,
And it's like and yeah, it feels good. Like those abilities are really powerful when you combine them together. But I just like this is like I think this is why Andy stopped playing the game, because even in 3, like even late game, there's a lot of time where you're just kind of standing around and auto attacking. Like you're not
yeah.
doing anything actively. Like and it like there's a lot of time where that's true, you know. And I don't think like there's certain classes where often it is not true. Like I think like that's where class design is interesting in the game for me, because I think like Ethel's class I think feels really powerful, but it's slow because it's time based. You know, the cooldowns on it.
Hmm.
Whereas the one that is what's it called, the maiden one, where you have like the sword or whatever, the jewel maiden or whatever it is.
Yeah, I can't
Um,
remember the name, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
it's the one that like Tyon, that's like for Tyon or whatever. That's a
Yeah,
damage
yeah,
class, and it's oh my god, not Keva's, Agnes. It's an Agnes class, so
yeah.
it the cooldowns recharge based on you hitting things with your auto attack. Those classes are way faster because if you speed up your auto attacks, you're like getting your abilities back like constantly, you know. So that class feels really fast in comparison, but they're both good classes. But like one feels a lot more fun to play and active because of the way they design the cooldown stuff. Like I don't know. It's
I
kind
feel
of
like they
weird.
were trying to make a statement, and it was a bad statement to be honest with you. Um, uh, so like yeah, Kevis was obviously Xenoblade Chronicles 1 combat system, right?
Yeah,
And then Agnes was Xenoblade Chronicles 2 combat system because
yeah.
you did based off hits. Uh, the problem I have with that is Xenoblade Chronicles cooldowns were not that egregious, and then you had
Well,
tools to skill.
you had 8 abilities. So
Exactly.
even though things would go on cooldown for 20 seconds, by the time you cycled through all your abilities, the first one would be off cooldown, you know?
And then you can upgrade said attacks and
So they're
make those
cool.
cooldowns even
Exactly.
lower.
Yeah.
And then you can get gems and everything like that. And I did the same thing with this game in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I had gems to where like Ethel's class, like I was doing like attacks were coming back really really fast because I
Yeah.
had certain attacks. And also Miyabi's, she has a passive or something like that where she makes cooldowns come back faster. So
Yeah.
having her in my party, like all my cooldowns were coming back really fast. So she was just really complimenting my team. And then I had another ability from another class where when I combo stuff, my cooldowns come back faster after the combos. So I knew how to combine certain systems to make the Kevis class more viable to the Agnes class.
Right.
But the Agnes classes were a lot funner because I could do the auto attacks and stuff like that.
Well, yeah,
The only thing I didn't like about
you could use haste gens with the Agnes classes, and it would like your fucking damage would go through the roof.
exactly,
As a result, because not only are you attacking faster and you're doing like double attacks, with the double attack gem or something, but you're also getting your abilities back faster by hitting things more. It's like,
exactly.
so it was like I don't know. I think they missed a little bit with some of that stuff.
Yeah, so but my thing is I didn't like the auto attack canceling. They took out the game because you had that in two. You can auto attack cancel as
Yeah.
well, and they took that out. So it was just a lot of stuff that they tried to like make artificial difficulty, and I actually hate that in games. And this game had some of that in it.
Well, I also think some of the canceling was awkward with certain classes because you would have positional arts. So you would have like two positional arts. One of them would be on the side and one would be on the back of the
Mhm.
enemy, and meaning that you could not cancel them all into each other and then
Yeah,
use your
exactly.
talent art. Like you had to use one to while you were on the side and then move to the back and then cancel into that one, and then hopefully your
Yeah.
talent art's up and you can cancel that at the end. Like it's like kind of awkward. Like some of the design didn't work well
Yeah,
to me either
I
for
feel
that.
like they did that. So it was a give or take, right? Like I feel like they did that because when I was using Noah, when I switched back to the sword fighter class at the end, or the Noah's class at the end, and I was using positional arts and everything like that.
Hmm.
And the game towards like chapter 5, chapter 6, I understood like the dodging mechanic that they give, or the dash mechanic. And I was when I use the dash mechanic and I'm doing positional arts for positional attacks, like the game felt really fast and more interactive. And I like doing that shit. That shit would look cool to me when I would dash and then go to the side, dash to the back, dash back to the front. And then by the time I get back to the front, like my other position arts would be back. So it made sense on paper, but some of the execution, yeah, was really crazy. I think they just wanted people to use the dash attack or the dash, and be more interactive on the map. But it was just kind of clunky in my opinion. So they
Hmm.
need to just settle on one instead of trying to combine three or one and two, which I understand story wise why they did that, but it just didn't work out in my opinion.
Not in every situation, but
Yeah,
I mean, it's still a good game overall.
yeah,
Like
it's still a good game. Yeah,
I think we're being critical. It's just, I just like, I don't know. I'm kind of at a point with Xenoblade. Like, I really love the series, I do, but I'm kind of ready for it to transform into something else. At this point, not like necessarily become a completely different game, but um, I want to see some drastic changes with the next game with the way they approach things because
yeah.
um
I feel like this style of games, if you're gonna make the games long, you have to make the combat pace out with the games. So they're still stuck in like 2001 as far as like unlocking combat and shit like that and mechanics. Like we're in 2022 now, and the TikTok generation, and unfortunately, as adults, our brains got affected by that shit too. So you have to kind of like go
well,
with the flow
dude,
and make it a little bit more faster,
they
you know?
I think the thing that they get lost in is like they're doing it arbitrarily now where they're withholding mechanics and they're like giving it
Hmm.
to you unceremoniously like you're talking about with the canceling where it's just they just give it to you when you like get the stalker class and it's like there's not even a cutscene for it. It's just like here you go.
It's just
Like
there, yeah.
it's just like a text box that pops up after a story cutscene and you're like what the fuck are you fucking kidding me? And to me it's like X, I think they did it perfectly, right? Like that. This is kind of my thing with them is like, if you guys are gonna do this, do it so that the game needs to be fun up until the point where you unlock more mechanics. That is where that wow factor comes from. Like X, they did it perfectly. Where, dude, the game is one thing for 40 hours, and you don't have the mechs and you're just running around as like a person, walking around the world and the game feels a certain way. But the game is still fun. If they didn't introduce the mech in X at all ever, the game would still be a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
Like that's my thing. But then when they introduce the mech, it like unlocks a whole new layer of the game world, and you're like your brain like fucking explodes. You're like, what the holy shit, dude? Are you fucking kidding me? I can fucking fly now? Like holy shit. So that's like that's my thing, is their execution of it with 2 and 3 has been bad. Whereas with X it was perfect. Like they perfectly executed that. Because they didn't withhold any mechanics necessarily. Like the game was there, like unlocked. You could go wherever you wanted, except for the places you needed to fly to get to, but you didn't even know you could get up there at first. Like that's like the point, it was like hidden to the point that most players probably didn't even notice that there were areas way up high that you could get to.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden you get the mech and you're like, oh my fucking god, I can fight enemies that I had no idea I could fight. So yeah, I don't know. I think they gotta do that better. I think that's kind of my thing. Is I think X was a really cool break from the formula, even though it was like the second game. Weirdly enough, I kind of want them to go back to that style because um, X is really fun to me. It's like a giant exploration game, like that's the game. The story is, unfortunately, I wish the story was better. That's like the one part of the game that isn't good, but like it doesn't matter that much to me though, because the game is just like so good as an exploration game. You're just exploring this giant map and like learning about this world and the universe that you're in and all these different alien races, and it's like really well done. And it's like the other Xenoblade games are nothing like that. They're like completely different. They're like more traditional JRPGs. You know,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what I mean where I want to see a transformation. I guess like it's not even transformation. I guess just a change of pace. This next Xenoblade game I'm kind of hoping is something different. You know, whether it's more in the X vein or something else doesn't really matter to me. I'm just kind of I'm a little over this like giant 80 90 hour epic, because they're not landing these as well as they used to. so
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, I don't know, but it's still a great game, still worth playing for
Yeah.
sure.
If you like long games,
Yeah,
if you're one of those people
you
like
want
who
to get
just
your
like
money's
long,
worth. Yeah.
yeah, there you go. Like if you want to get your money's worth, you like long games, and you don't mind,
Hmm.
like the pace of a game, a slower pace game. Now, I definitely would recommend the Xenoblade series. For me, it took, like I said, it took me 4 or 5 months, and I worked full time. So, uh, I finished all three games in about 4 or 5 months. So, if you are a college student or something like that, you can probably finish that in a fraction of the time.
Hmm.
Um, especially if you're really enjoying it. There were certain parts where I just didn't enjoy it as much as other people. And on top of that, I think with one, I was able to like kind of rush through it. Two, you got to have the patience of a Zen fucking yoga master, yo. Like, I was trying to rush through that game, and you just can't because they have arbitrary walls in place so that you don't rush through the game.
Yeah.
Three, once I got to three, I was taking my time because I didn't feel like I was racing to get to three anymore. So that has a lot to do with it as well as far as my opinions on one and two. Um, uh, and three, yeah, three felt like an adventure for me. Like it felt like a, a I was just laying back in the chair playing the game. I had to stand up in certain, not stand up, but like lean forward in certain parts when I was fighting certain bosses and stuff like that. But yeah, I do want to mention that real quick. Like, certain unique bosses that you fought in the field and everything, I felt like they were very fair.
Hmm.
Um, and they definitely gave me a challenge, even on hard mode or even normal mode. They gave me a challenge, and I
Yeah.
felt like I wanted to go back and fight them and stuff like that. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree. Actually, I don't think there were a lot that were annoying in this game compared to like one.
Oh my god.
One has some really annoying, unique enemies, and then yeah, there's one other thing I want to call it too is I do think the world design in three is really good. They are still masters of building a world that's really fun to exist in. You know,
Yep.
and like run around and explore the layers of that section of the game where you're in that giant jungle area or forest area with all the skyscrapers that you're running around on. Like, dude,
Yeah.
that area is so fucking cool to me, especially when you get to the lower section
Yeah.
later in the game. Like, dude, it's fucking cool as shit. I'm like, goddamn, dude. But that was the other thing I did like is all the kind of artifacts of both worlds like scattered about.
Yep.
Um, like, dude, did you find the McConus arm um, in the early part of the game?
No, I didn't see the Makona's arm.
Oh my
Maybe I
god,
did.
dude. Nah, you
Maybe
wouldn't
I
know.
did
No,
see
you
it.
would know if you did. Like, no, they literally. So you know, in the beach section of the first game where you're in between the two titans,
Yeah.
and there's the giant McConus hand on the ground, and you can go up the hand, and like there's like a giant platform and a secret area up there.
Yeah.
That exact thing is in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Like, you can find it
Oh
and
shit.
scale it and walk up it and climb up it and go to that exact same spot. Obviously, the world around you is different, but that fucking hand is there. The same hand. Like, it's the exact. It was one of the coolest moments in the game for me. I was like, holy fucking shit, dude! Like, they literally just took it out of the first game and just put it in here. Like, it's just right here.
See, shit
Like,
like that would made me feel like this game was like a sending off. They're like, "Yo,
yeah,
this is our sending off." But I don't know the way the game ended, and we have a lot of unanswered questions. Like, we are gonna make DLC though, guys. It's like, fuck, okay, I guess.
yeah,
So I don't know.
right. So,
But yeah, we've been talking about this for a while.
yeah, we gotta
For
we
a
gotta
while
get
now.
moving here. Yeah, we should have just done a spoiler cast. God damn it, we talked for over an hour. About that. All right, let's move on to the news. We'll probably try to make this brief. Our first story, or really our only main news story this week, is the Bayonetta 3 voice actor drama has unfolded this week, and so it really started with Hellena Taylor, who was the original voice actress for Bayonetta.
Mm-hmm.
In the first two games, she put out a video early in the week accusing Platinum of underpaying her, or attempting to underpay her. She said that they offered her $4,000 for the entire game of Bayonetta 3 to do all the voice acting. And this caused an uproar on the internet, as it, you know, not surprising. To the point that it led to Kamiya, who is I think he's the vice president of
Vice
Platinum.
President,
Yeah,
Vice President of
he's the
Platinum.
vice president of Platinum. He came out and called her a liar, straight up, just called her a liar, and then he got fucking blasted on Twitter, dude. To the point that didn't he delete his Twitter, or like he
He was
just
he was. So what happened was, Twitter has this like bot or whatever. If you block too many people or if you follow too many people, the bot will tell you you're restricted because they think that you're a spam bot or something like that. So
okay.
apparently he blocked so many people in a given time frame, like maybe 25 or 10 minutes or something like that, that he got his account restricted.
I see. Okay. So yeah, that happened, and then there was a lot of Jennifer Hale, who is actually a very well known voice actress. She is the new voice actress for Bayonetta in Bayonetta 3. And she kind of came out. She didn't say anything specific, but she kind of had this tweet that was a little cryptic, saying that, basically implying that people don't know the whole story. You're only hearing it from one side, kind of thing. And she kind of, it sounded like she was on Platinum's side with this. And then after that, Jason Schreier kind of posted a more in-depth article, kind of laying out what really happened here. So Helena Taylor was actually offered $3,000 to $4,000 per voice acting session that she was going to do for Bayonetta 3. And there were going to be 5 total sessions, so she was going to get between $15,000 to $20,000 for the entire game, which um, doesn't sound like a lot, but actually is in the world of voice acting, especially for video games. That is a good amount of money for a voice actor for a game like Bayonetta. So that was kind of the facts that were laid out. But then Helena Taylor, like, she refuted that, said that's not true. But I will say, so I mean, Montreal. That's kind of those are the facts basically that happened here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yep.
what do you kind of think of this situation? Because to me, like, Jason is a pretty well, like, I feel like a well-respected reporter. No matter what you
Yes.
feel about his personal opinions and the way he treats people, notwithstanding, he's a very good reporter. Like, I feel like
Yes.
you can
Yes.
kind of trust his reporting when he actually puts something to paper and actually writes an article about it. That it is not something he's not like it's not, he's not writing that with one source. Like he's got multiple sources, you know. So so what do you think about the situation overall?
So overall, like I feel like that's something they probably have to battle out in court or something like that instead of like I think she did this because her lawyer told her to do this or her agent told her to do this. And he's
Yeah.
like, this would be a good power move to do if you put it out on social media.
Well, yeah.
Um,
One more thing actually is she refused the initial um offer from Platinum and countered them asking for six figures for the whole game.
yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah.
So I think it's just an unfortunate situation. One thing I did learn from this whole situation, just personally, like on my timeline personally, I didn't know so many people hated Platinum Games. Like
Yeah.
they think Platinum Games in general is like a mid tier company. They're just mid. Um, and some of that is Platinum's doing, because they have released some mid games.
Hmm.
I didn't really like the Wonderful 101, but I know a lot of people who did. But I thought it was pretty mid. They released some B tier like side scrolling shooter.
Babylon's Fall is a
Well, I was
disaster.
gonna get to that. I
Yeah.
was gonna get to that. Babylon's Fall was a disaster. Anarchy Reigns was like kind of mid. It wasn't the best. So I mean they released, but then out of that they have released some like some gems and stuff like that. And even when they were another studio called Clover Studios working for Capcom, they
Hmm.
released a lot of good games for them as well. So but a lot of people just only know them as Platinum, and then they only know their big like failures, which is Scalebound, and then like obviously fucking Babylon's Fall. Um, and then on top of that, their vice president doesn't have the best reputation on Twitter. He's known to block people for no apparent reason. You can ask him. He has no joke, y'all. You go to his bio, and he
Hmm.
has a twit longer bio, like almost a 1,000-page document on what you would get blocked for and what you would not get blocked for. No fucking joke. You can guys can go check it out yourselves. Uh, he doesn't like being asked about his previous games, even games that are platinum games. So if you ask about Metal Gear Revengeance, you're blocked. If you ask about Bayonetta, you're blocked. Bayonetta 1 and 2, you're blocked. Uh,
What?
if you if
Oh
you
my
ask
god.
about, and he even puts on his title the original creator of Devil May Cry or the director of Devil May Cry 1. If you ask about Devil May Cry 1, blocked. Like so it's so weird shit that he does on the site on Twitter, and it's like it came to a point though where it was a meme at one point to see how many people can get blocked by him or whatever, and it was almost like considered an honor because everybody thought he was just joking until like it got real serious over the past couple months how he just blocks people
Hmm.
for random shit, even shit that he likes
Hmm.
and talks about and shit. And then he also started blocking people because they weren't speaking Japanese to him, and uh there were like other old tweets of him calling people who weren't
Man.
Japanese in Japan like dogs and pigs and shit like
Oh
that.
my god.
So
No, he seems
uh
like a very egotistical individual. Like the
yeah,
idea that he thinks the world has to like treat him a certain way on Twitter, like okay, dude. I mean,
yeah,
you can block whoever you want, okay? But to post a rules list of what you will block people for is one of the most egotistical things I think I've ever heard of a person doing. Like,
yeah. So
my
he
god.
definitely did that. He continues to do that. I'm blocked on my main account because I asked him a question about Bayonetta before. Um, I think I asked like what was his favorite voice line from Bayonetta or why did he like that character or what led him to design the character the way he designed it. He blocked me um for it. So yeah, that's him.
Which
So
that
this
is so weird. Like you're just like a fan asking an innocuous question. You don't even have to answer. Why go through the effort of blocking you for that? That's what I don't understand. It's like more work.
Well,
Like
he quote tweeted my shit and he said, "I told you idiots 1,000 times to stop asking me about this." And I'm like, bro, I just followed you, and I ain't about to read no goddamn 1,000 page essay about a
twit
fucking block
longer.
list.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, like I'm not about to
Like
read that shit. Like I have a life, bro. Like
yeah.
fuck out of here. So I don't know. He blocked me or whatever, And I never held that against the company or their games or anything like that, or even him himself. I was just like, whatever, fuck it. Like, I still like his games and whatever the case may be.
Hmm.
But yeah, that whole reputation that he built up over the last like 5 to 10 years or 5 to 7 years did not favor him well in this situation for Bayonetta. And it looks like people were just waiting to pounce on him. And they
Yeah.
did. They pounced on him hard. And it was not a pretty picture for him for a couple. Even though he said he was like, "Yo, she's lying" and everything like
Well,
that.
he the way he was wording things was like really vicious. Like he was fucking going at this woman. Like, and
Yeah,
I mean, I get it. Like, if she's not telling the truth, like I get where he's coming from. But he sounded like a fucking child. Like,
yeah. Yeah, he sounded
like
real
I don't know.
childish, and it was leading to people to not believe him even more. Um, so yeah, I think he got his account restricted for that. And then on the flip side of that, um, like he didn't make himself look good, and it's hard for people to defend you or believe you when you have that reputation on Twitter
Hmm.
or a reputation anywhere, even in the job workplace. You know what I'm saying? If you're an asshole to everybody and everything like that,
Right.
and then someone makes a false claim of like sexual assault or something like that, sexual harassment, it's going to be very hard for you to back that up, even though you may have evidence and everything of that nature, or
Well, people aren't going
you
to
may have
give you the benefit of the doubt.
exactly. They're not going to be willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. You're
Nope.
going to have to fight very hard for that. So that's why, like, it's very easy. It's very hard, or just don't burn your bridges. Like even your bridges with your fans and your reputation, you just don't want to burn that. And I'm not saying you got to be a total nice guy to everybody, but just be conscious, like the energy
Well,
you
it's
putting
like
out there.
my
There you
thing.
go.
That's like my thing, dude. Is like, why go through the effort of blocking all these people? Like, dude, if they're asking you questions you don't want to answer, okay,
Just
just
don't answer
ignore
them.
it. Just don't answer them. Fucking mute them, dude. You don't have to block them. I don't know. It's like it's weird. It's just weird. It's like he's like got this weird like power fantasy, and he's like executing it on Twitter. You know, like I
Well, I
don't.
mean, you look at his games and there are power
Oh,
fantasies.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, true, dude. Yeah.
So, but yeah, you're right though, and so that leads me to the next side of this though is I feel like everybody once Jason Schreier came out with his articles and everything like that, and Bloomberg wrote what they or he was working for Bloomberg, so he wrote what he wrote on Bloomberg, and he said I had evidence. This is where I feel bad for journalists in general.
Yeah,
People don't know how journalists
he
work,
got
and
pounced
they're
on,
like,
dude. Yeah,
yeah, people are like, well, why don't you just drop the evidence? He's like, it's my source.
I'm not
Like if
burning a
I
source.
I'm not burning a source.
Like
Like, do you know what a
that's
source
my
is?
point. Yeah, that's my point about his reputation, right? Like he's earned his reputation over years of great reporting to the point that when he says that he has seen evidence that of their offer that they're saying they gave her, of the 15 to 20,000 for 5 sessions, like I believe him because he's
Yeah,
earned that
exactly.
reputation. Like he's earned that, and he doesn't need to show the proof. Like that's the point of a reporter,
Yeah,
like
or like there have been plenty of articles and everything of
yeah.
journalists not showing the proof, or if they can show the proof without burning their source, they can. But they will write these articles, how Watergate happened and all this other shit like that. Like these are investigative journalism. This is investigative journalism. You have sources and everything like that. It's almost like being a fucking spy, or a
Hmm.
fucking CIA agent. You
Yeah,
have contacts and
yeah, oh
everything.
yeah.
So uh so I feel like but because we live in this digital age and everything like that, people don't really understand what real journalism is because we have bloggers now,
Hmm.
and everything like that,
They just
and
say whatever they
YouTubers.
want with no sources.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you,
right.
you have
Well, no, this
YouTubers and
is this is you're making a really good point here about this information age we live in now, where I feel like Twitter people just take tweets and they're just like they just believe them, you know,
yeah,
whatever
well
people
not
say.
Well, not only that, but like the bloggers and the YouTubers and everything, they just they don't really do any real investigations. Like we're not gonna name a YouTuber, but this one YouTuber who me and Justin joke about. He literally just reads fucking Reddit posts. That's his research. Oh, I went on Reddit the other day and blah, 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 and it's like, bro, did you look at anything else besides Reddit, bro? Like that's all you're doing is looking at Reddit,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's like uh And it's like I browse Reddit and get a lot of my information from Reddit, but I also cross reference that with other forums, and then I cross that reference that with
Go
you
find actual articles that talk about it.
exactly
Yeah.
actual articles, and then YouTubes and everything like that. Videos of people talking about it before I even bring it up on a
Well,
podcast or
dude,
anything like that.
that's like, yeah, I was just about to mention the way we do things, right? There's a ton of rumors that we don't talk about on this show.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
and I vet these things. Like I don't put them in our news feed unless I think they are legitimately worth talking about. There are tons of rumors out there that come out. You know, there was like that fucking rumor of like a Metal Gear game, blah blah blah. We didn't even talk about it on the show because it's just like I don't believe it. Like, you know, like it's coming from some random fucking Twitter account that I've never heard of. Like
never heard of.
that
Yeah,
doesn't that's not a like a reporter, dude. Like, you know, until Jason or like Tom Henderson or somebody that's like a real actual reporter who has sources, proven sources, you know, like until they say something, I'm not going to talk about it on the show, you know.
yeah. So
Unless it's something fun that we want to talk about, you know, that's just like fun to speculate about, like maybe
yeah,
we'll do that.
exactly.
But dude, yeah, like I'm very wary of that stuff. There have been times where Montrell's brought something to me, and I'm like, dude, that's fake. Like I just say it straight up. I'm like, that's fake. I'm not. We're not talking about that on the show. You know.
Yeah. So
So
I mean, so when I because I actually posted on my Twitter, like the rare time I did post it or whatever, and that's actually I was like, oh, this is why I don't come back to this account anymore. Because I posted, I was like, oh man, like it looks like she was lying about what she said. And they're like, how do you know that she was lying? And blah, 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 blah. And, you know, Platinum could be just trying to save their ass. I'm like, yeah, they are trying to save their ass. But this didn't come from Platinum. This came from a reporter who got from a source that said this is what it is. And I'm like, the reporter, the person asked me like, who is the reporter? I'm like, it's Jason Schreier, you know, blah blah blah. And they're like, yeah, I trust Jason Schreier too, but you gotta understand that source information may have came from Platinum. If he has proof, written documented proof,
yeah, it doesn't
and
matter
she
where it
doesn't,
came from.
it doesn't
Yeah,
matter where it came from. It's
right.
still proof right there in your face. So I feel like people were really just trying, and y'all know I'm always like down to take down a corporation. Like I'm always down for that shit. I don't care who the fuck it is. But
Yeah.
like everybody was really trying to take out Platinum like they were fucking EA, and I'm like, bro, like I understand y'all don't like the games and y'all don't like Kamiya as a person, but like if there's proof that he didn't do this, then I'm not going to go here and try to
Hmm.
vilify him because I just don't like him as his personality. Like
Yeah.
that's really
Right.
fucked up. And people were doing that. And even though these this thing dropped, um they were also questioning Jason Schreier. Like, I don't like some of the political takes he has, but like the dude's a fucking phenomenal investigative reporter. He's one of the only ones, one of the few rather, in video games that actually, because every time I read a Kotaku article, bro, what is it? I link y'all the Kotaku articles, and they're like linked to Reddit posts. Oh, well, this Reddit post said this, and this Reddit post said that, and it's
Like
like,
Kotaku's turned into a joke since he left. You know, like
yeah, and it's like, has anybody just like actually talked to the developers or actually played the game before y'all start writing game articles? And like, yeah, he's the only one that does shit like that, or
well,
the
it's
one
because,
that I
dude, think
know.
about it, right? They don't have any sources within Platinum because Platinum's not doesn't want to talk to these fucking people. You know, random people don't want to talk to some random Kotaku writer at this point. But like, yeah, Jason's got years of contacts that he's built up. You know, like he has become a trusted place to go if you have information in the industry. You know,
Yeah,
I'm
so
sure sources come to him all the time with things that he doesn't even ask for. You know,
exactly.
um,
So
so
I just think it was very disingenuous of everybody, to like, first we jumped the bandwagon and we were like, damn, that's fucked up what Platinum did. So I don't even think we jumped the bandwagon. We were just reacting to a video. Like, that's fucked up what Platinum did. And I really was kind of tame on it. And
yeah.
I was like, and then what really set me off was like the way Camille was acting. I'm like, oh, he's acting like a person that's like
Yeah,
fucking lying about
they
the
definitely it
situation, right?
definitely felt a certain way at first.
Yeah,
Like I'll even admit like I believed her at first. And like but it was like you were talking about. It's because like Camilla, the way Camilla came out, I was like, bro, this guy is like what the this is way too vicious, you know? Like I mean,
exactly.
I don't know. But
It was so weird the way he was acting. And then when Jason Schreier dropped this shit, then I was like, okay, this makes a lot more sense. And yeah, but I think this brings up another conversation. Another conversation, like I was talking to you in text messages, is negotiations and voice acting in general in the video game and anime world.
mhm.
Um, they are iconic. Like for me, a lot of people grew up on the Japanese Goku. I didn't grow up on a Japanese Goku. I
I
can't
can't
see
even
how
stand.
people still like the
I
Japanese.
can't
I
stand the
can't stand
Japanese
it.
Goku, dude. Japanese Dragon
Yeah.
Ball Z sucks, dick. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just saying. I'm just gonna say it, dude. The music is worse. The fucking voice acting is worse. Like, I hate Japanese Dragon Ball Z, dude. Like, I can't. I don't even understand how anybody could possibly watch it. I mean, yes, I grew up on the English dub, and you know the fucking what's his name, Falconer or whatever, that wrote all the music. But like, I grew up on
Yeah.
that shit, so I'm probably biased. But I'm sorry. It's just I listen to. I'll listen to like a scene and I literally I'm like, this isn't
It's
even the
not the
same.
same.
It's not even the same show. Like, it's like
It's not the
totally
same show.
different. It's not the same show. Like, holy shit.
So, but that's what I mean, though, right? We don't know how much the Goku voice actor get paid. He probably got a good
Hmm.
contract or
Hmm.
whatever, agent or whatever. But we need that voice actor to be Goku, like his
Yeah.
iconic yell and everything like that, right?
The
Like we
second
need
that
to
changes, it would ruin Dragon Ball. Like, if they ever,
exactly.
yeah,
If,
yeah,
if that voice actor, like, no, God not willing, if that voice actor ever passed, right? Like that would be a real
blow.
tragic moment for Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Um, so I say that because like those voice actors are those characters. So I can't remember her name.
Helena
The voice
Taylor.
actor for Helena Taylor is Bayonetta, like, and that travels with her.
It's
The
true.
problem
Yeah. Go ahead. Keep
the,
going.
the problem I only had with this was, and the reason I was kind of like pushing back on it is because I don't think Bayonetta is an iconic character now, but it took years for it to get there. And then she's like, "Oh, well, they made 450 million. That was over 13 years." Like it.
Well, also, she pulled that out of her ass. I don't know if that's a real number. Like,
Okay.
there's no evidence anywhere that that's a real number, that they've actually made that much money off the franchise. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't know, but
And
I don't
then,
know. I was making the argument to you though that, like, I do think like Bayonetta is an iconic character, and
yeah.
I think the voice acting is very important to the success of that series.
Yeah, and
And
that's where I was getting at. Like, I feel
yeah.
like this conversation should bring up how voice actors should get paid as much as a movie actor, or even like some kind of royalties or something like that, because they are those characters, you
Yeah,
know.
like 20,000 for an entire video game. Like, I know that sounds like a lot, but that's a fucking drop in the bucket for a game that sells a million copies. You know,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that's fucking nothing. Like, it's like like you're making 60 million off that, or whatever. Obviously, it's not all profit, but like, um, so you're like, I don't know. I feel like you could afford to pay 100,000 for the whole game, probably for your lead character. Your lead character. I'm not saying every character needs to make that much, but your fucking
Yeah,
lead
your
character
lead.
that's on the title character that's on the fucking box. You could probably afford to pay 100,000 for the entire game. Like,
Yeah,
that's my
100%.
thing. Or yeah, 20,000 in royalties, or something like that.
Yeah,
Like, and yeah, everybody else would make significantly less than that, probably, all the side characters, but that's, I don't know, like, that feels more appropriate. Like, 20K for a whole game where you're Bayonetta and you are constantly talking, like that character is a talker. Like, she talks a lot, you know?
yeah. She probably has a lot of voice lines and ha's and all that
Yeah,
shit like
right. You
that.
got to do
So
all that. There might even be mocap involved. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I think that was the part of it to me that was like, no matter what's true here, I do feel like, that clearly feels like a voice actor getting underpaid to me, even if 20K
yeah.
was the offer. But
So I mean, like, I would say one last thing before we move on. One little sidebar. Can we stop this like digging up the past shit? So they did it to Kamiya. Like I said, how they put up stuff where he was calling people dogs, and if you don't speak Japanese, you're a pig, and I'm tired of these foreigners in my country or whatever. They did the same thing with her as well, where they were like, "Oh, she supported Trump and she was and everything like that." And I'm just like, bro, what does that have to do with the situation? Like, what does any
I don't
these
know, dude. They're
situations
just
have to
trying.
do?
They're just trying to prove that they're like horrible people. And it's like, I mean, dude, I don't. You're right. It's I don't know. Like, can we just like, yeah, leave the past in the past, man. I
'Cause I
mean,
was like, people were reacting to it. A lot of people were reacting to it as well for because it came out about her first, and because people kind of skipped over Kamiya's stuff there. Because I said his favorite anime is probably Attack on Titan. That was my joke. But uh, uh, but for her, like, yeah, it was like a big thread about it that got deleted. But it was like it had like 4,000 retweets and everything. And it was like, yeah, you remember you said this about these people, and you obviously supported Trump and everything. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's probably a shitty decision on her
yeah, but
part,
like
for
that.
real.
No,
But
this is where I have a problem with it, right? Like, A, what does that have to do with the situation at hand? But B, does proving that she supported Trump mean that she suddenly doesn't deserve to be paid equitably? Like,
and my thing is, did you care about that before this situation even
no,
arose?
you don't even know who she was before this situation. That's the other thing is like, yeah, these people like they're like dig in here and they're like trying to become. It's like, dude, you probably didn't even know she was the voice actress for Bayonetta before this whole thing blew up. Like literally, you
Yeah,
you probably did not know her name. You had no idea what
it,
she looked like. You knew nothing
exactly.
about
I
her.
didn't,
Like,
and I love Bayonetta,
I
and
don't.
I
I
didn't
didn't
know.
either. I didn't either.
Yeah,
Right, dude. Right. Exactly.
and then like one more point, like uh so yeah, when this happened too, and everybody was like blasting fucking Platinum Games, and like all of a sudden now, Platinum Games is trash. Like all their games are trash. Hey guys, let's talk about how Bayonetta is actually really mid and trash. I'm like, all right, so we're not gonna do this, y'all.
Oh
Like,
my god.
we're not gonna do this. We're not gonna say that Metal Gear Avengers is trash. We're not gonna say that the only game they made good was Metal
Bro,
Gear
don't
Avengers.
even talk.
We're,
Yeah, don't. If
we're
you start talking about Near Automata, you
Yeah, that's what I'm
get
saying. They're like, oh,
get
the
out of
only
here.
good game they made was Nier Automata, and it's
Oh
like,
my god,
let's. So I'm like, let's stop this, y'all. Like, we're not about to do this shit. Like, just because you don't like the company or the company did some bad shit doesn't mean all their products are bad. Now, like, that's like me saying because I don't like Madden right now that I didn't enjoy the fuck out of Madden like '07. I can't say that
yeah,
shit
no,
because that shit was
that's
good.
just
Like,
that's. I mean, it's you're like changing. You're like forming a bias in the middle of the whole thing. Like that's what these people are doing. They're literally forming a bias against Platinum Games. It's like in real time, dude. It's like, okay, man. Yep, you're very credible. You have a very credible opinion. If suddenly you fucking hate their entire catalog, like, all right,
Yeah,
cool.
it was so many people coming out and like commenting my shit that I just actually ignored a lot of it. But it was so many people like, yeah, I mean, too bad Platinum Games is mid anyway. They only make mid
No, it's
games. I'm
like you were
like, all
saying
right.
earlier, dude. People fucking hate Platinum, and I'm like, dude, I'm actually at the point that like, dude, they're in trouble. I think they're like legitimately in danger right now, like
No, they
because
are.
I don't.
Remember
I,
we said this before this even popped up that they're in danger. Like even
I think,
before
yeah, I
Babylon
know, but
Falls, we
yeah,
were
I
like,
think with this, like, there is a severe risk that Bayonetta 3 is not going to sell well due to this situation. And if that's the case, what does Platinum have, dude? Bayonetta is it. Like, that's their fucking breadwinner. Like if
well, you
that
remember a couple
fails,
months back they were begging to get acquired by somebody.
begging to get acquired, right? Dude, I don't know, man. I don't. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm still of the opinion that it would suck for games if Platinum was gone. Like they
Yeah, because
dissolved.
I said me and somebody else on Twitter, like and me and you were talking as well. They're like one of the few companies that make video games.
Yeah,
Like, they're unapologetically
they
video
still do.
games.
They don't put like fucking microtransactions and DLC in their shit. Like,
Well, they don't make it super realistic as well. Like they don't
yeah,
make it try to have a serious plot line. I would say like Near Automata, but Near was like written by Square, so I really don't really count that as their game, even though it was their game. If that makes any sense.
hmm
So, um, I don't know. It's just they make some video games, like some really outlandish action games, and I commend them for that. And we don't really get that too much from video games nowadays. Like it's rare that a lot of people actually do that and become successful. So, like you said, if they go under, that would be a huge loss for video games.
Yeah.
That's one company that needs to be saved.
Mm-hmm. All right, Macho. We're fucking God, man. This is like the longest episode we're gonna do in like the last like fucking year or two, and I'm in a hotel right now. So let's move on.
Yeah,
Let's try to
yeah,
get through the rest of this. I have nothing to say about this next one, but I do want to bring it up. Konami announced like 3 different Silent Hill projects. One of them's a remake, I think, right?
yeah. Remake. They're remaking Silent Hill 2, and then one's going to be like an interactive story, and I don't know the other project they're doing.
You have any?
So
Yeah, go ahead. I have nothing to say
So
about
I don't
this.
really want to talk about Silent Hill itself because I only played Silent Hill 1. I never played Silent Hill 2.
Mhm.
So I always thought it was a franchise as like a knockoff Resident Evil, but it's like way more serious actually, and it's way more scarier.
Mhm.
Um, but this does give me hope for the future for Konami because they are willing to get back into video games now. I mean, I know they were trying to do it with like Pez and all that
Well,
bullshit
no,
like
they
that.
dude. That yeah, they just announced like a Suikoden kind of like remaster ish thing like a few weeks ago too. So
Okay.
they're not. I mean, they've been peeking. They've been peeking out the curtains the last like couple of years, you know, because
Yeah.
they had that like a Castlevania collection.
Oh yeah, I forgot
They
about the
did.
Castlevania collection.
They did some other collection that I'm forgetting right now. Last year too. And those have all been well received. So I like they've clearly been percolating. Things have been percolating behind the scenes with them.
Yeah, so
Um,
I'm glad they're getting back into games. They have some really cool franchises under their belt. Not just Metal Gear, but I mean, I want a Metal Gear, but um, I don't
they
think they'd be the
they
same without
they don't
Halo.
have the balls. I don't think they have the
Yeah,
balls.
I think if they do right, if they do a remake, I think Kojima will be involved, and I think that would be like the rebuilding of the burning bridge that they did. Because I don't know,
Mhm.
that's just weird. But anyway, but yeah,
Can you
I
believe
feel
it's
like they're
been
getting back
seven,
into.
dude? It's been 7 years since then. Can you believe that?
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's fucking insane.
Yeah. I think they fired the higher ups that did all that
Hmm.
because like Konami was like all against gaming at that time. Remember how anti gaming they were? They
Oh
were
yeah,
just like
they
we don't
went
want
into
nothing.
like a total shell, dude. Like no games.
Yeah, I think they fired those higher ups. They had to.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm glad they're getting back into gaming. I'm glad their franchises are coming back. And I'm interested to see what they're going to do in the future. So this Silent Hill actually gave me hope because I thought they were just going to announce like a fucking mobile game or some shit. Like I have that's another thing about this announcement. I'm sorry, I don't really get off track, but I have the most cynical, fucking negative viewpoints of like announcements now. I'm like, oh, it's just probably going to be a fucking mobile game or a fucking NFT or something like that because they did it to us so many
Don't
times.
worry,
So
man. I mean, Sony's gearing us up for the future where they don't even make single player games anymore. So get ready
really.
for get ready. Yeah, bro. You remember we've been talking about this. They're planning to make like 10 live service games in the next like 4 years or
Oh
something.
yeah, they're just
Yeah,
throwing
like
shit to the wall and see what sticks.
yeah,
Yeah.
man. Like, dude, it's fucking over, dude. Gaming's gonna be shit. No, I mean it's not that bad, but no, realistically though, like companies like Sony, like, dude, they're looking to grow. The way you do that is making live service games. You know, it's like,
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Sony because the main Sony account on Twitter today
yeah,
uh tweeted out like a low quality image, like part of the box cover of fucking Bloodborne, and they're like, "What game is this, guys?" Or
oh my
and they put the
fucking god.
googly eyes or something like that, and people lost their shit. They said, oh, "They're finally doing it. Sony's finally doing
No, they're such
it."
assholes, dude. They're not doing shit, guys. Oh my god, stop
And that's the
falling for
next point,
this.
right? And they
Yeah.
deleted the tweet because I
Of
think
course
Sony's
they
like
did.
desperate.
Somebody internally saw that shit, dude. I'm telling you, somebody who's in a leadership position in Sony saw that fucking tweet and caught wind of what happened there and like, are you fucking out of your mind? Like fucking lost their shit. Probably fired that guy. Like dude, you know how sensitive they are about this. You can't post
Do
that.
you do you know how long they've been asking for a Bloodborne remaster and you
Oh
post
my
that shit?
god, you post that shit? Nah, man. Yeah, that guy's fucking fired. Whoever did that.
Yeah, that intern's done. He's
That
done.
intern is done, man. You out, bro. Get out of here. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah.
But I thought that was funny though. But yeah, that's
All
all I
right.
got for Konami.
Let's move on from Silent Hill. We had another trailer today drop. Resident Evil 4 remake had a fairly lengthy trailer, I think. I
Hmm.
didn't watch the whole thing. Do you want to go through that one?
I didn't watch the whole thing either. I didn't watch the whole showcase rather. But they did announce Resident Evil 4 again. I didn't. I forgot the release date, but I think it's sometime next year, actually, or maybe at the end of this year. Probably. I don't know. But
Yeah, what was the release date? I forget too.
yeah.
Hold on, I'll look it up while you're talking. Keep going.
But yeah, they did show gameplay. I'm actually okay with the gameplay. I thought they were gonna change a lot. It looks like they're keeping it alive. Like he blocks a chainsaw with a knife.
March 24th,
Oh,
2023.
okay, that's actually pretty soon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he blocks a knife with the chainsaw, or he blocks a chainsaw with the knife. So they are keeping some of the like ridiculous goofiness of
Goofy,
four.
crazy shit, dude. I
Yeah.
mean, no, Resident Evil, dude. I've never played a Resident Evil game, okay, and I'm telling you right now, I think it's like one of the funniest franchises. The way they do action in Resident Evil games is so fucking funny, man. Like the
Well,
fucking
you
the
gotta.
fucking clip of, I think it was 5 or 6, where you know the fucking clip where there's two guys are running in circles shooting at each other's feet. It's one of the
That's
funniest things I've ever
that's
seen in my
that's
life.
actually one of the side movies. That's actually one of the side movies.
Oh my
In five,
god.
though, in five, you do have Wesker teleporting and dodging bullets. Um,
Oh my god. It's
and there's one part where his partner, Chris's partner, Sheva, gets like captured by Wesker in like the
Mhm,
bottom of the volcano,
mhm.
and you're running down a path, and a boulder blocks you, and you have a quick time event to punch the boulder, and you're literally punching the boulder and trying to get out this big ass rock, and he pushes it out the way. It's like the most obnoxious thing game I've ever seen in my fucking life, bro. Like
Yeah,
you gotta watch this shit.
it's so
Just type
funny.
in,
It's
just
so
type in
funny,
Chris
man.
punches boulder, and it's a whole bunch of memes about
Okay,
it.
I'll do it.
Uh, but yeah. So Resident Evil 4, it looks like it's more serious though, which is like which I think they've been trying to do over the last two remakes they did, 2 and 3. They made it a more serious tone. The voice acting has been upgraded and a lot better. Um, they did change Leon's look and everything like that, but I didn't mind it. I mean, it kind of matches the new Leon and everything like that.
Mhm.
Uh, so I'm actually interested. It looks like they changed some stuff around from the main story set pieces. So I'm actually looking to it, but they did keep the merchant who I love. So I'm glad they kept that merchant. So
Oh
that
my
was my main
god.
concern.
Is this real? This is a real thing. Dude, he literally punches it into the lava.
He's a normal human, by the way, no superpowers.
Oh my god. I love Resident Evil, dude. It's fucking gold, man. Dude, they're fucking out of their minds, bro. I love it. I love it. I love this series. Like, I've never played the game at any of the games, and I love it. It's so fucking funny, man. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's just, yeah, that's what the chainsaw thing gave me vibes of today, is just like, it just reminded me of how funny Resident Evil is, where you're fucking blocking a chainsaw with a literal knife. Like, and we're not talking like a long like hunting knife either. It's just like a fucking knife. Like, it's not. It's fucking insane, dude. Oh god. But never change Resident Evil. Please never change.
Oh my god! I just watched the scene again. I can't believe I played the shit out this game.
Oh
Like
my
it's
god, man. No, it's
punches
good
a
stuff,
fucking
man.
boulder.
That's like peak. That's like peak PS3 right there. You know, peak PS3 era.
But yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. They didn't butcher. It looks like they didn't butcher my favorite game, so that's the only thing I was really concerned about. So yeah.
Hmm. All right, fair enough. All right, well, let's move on to our final. piece of news, and that's another trailer. Final Fantasy 16. Square Enix dropped a fairly lengthy, like 4.5 minute trailer for the game, and man, all right, I watched this one. Montrell watched this one. Oh boy, I am fucking amped for this game, dude. Like every time I see this game, I need to stop watching these trailers at this point because like I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna go into blackout because um I'm
I
so
say that every time I watch like a trailer
I
for
know
Final
I
Fantasy
can't keep
16,
I
bro.
can't keep my eyes off it because dude, it looks so fucking good. Like I can't even. I don't understand. Like
I'm
why
kind
did
of
it?
piecing the story together, but I'm liking these trailers because they're keeping it very mysterious. But
They are. But dude, the brief gameplay segments we got too, and I'm like, oh boy, okay. This is like it's like kind of like an character action game a little bit. Like there's a little bit of
yeah,
that in there. And I don't know, man. I'm like really fucking amped for this game.
yeah, I am too. The story looks very good. Uh,
Yes, brutal, like violent.
I'm yeah. Is this like the first Final Fantasy somebody gets beheaded and like
Well,
blood
no.
splatters everywhere?
So I will say Final Fantasy 14 has a lot of very violent moments in it, for
But I
sure.
mean, it's MMO violence, right? Like they just show the character
True.
die off screen. Yeah,
True. It's not cinematic in the same way, yeah, for sure.
yeah. But yeah, you can definitely tell Yoshi P was like heavily involved because I did get major Final Fantasy 14 vibes from this. And if you haven't played Final Fantasy 14 in the story, especially Heaven Sword, oh, whew, Heaven Sword is like
Shadowbringers too, dude.
Shadowbringer. Okay, I gotta play Shadowbringer story.
Endwalker's really good too, actually. I mean, like man, I'm like sad that I've beaten it all because I'm like, man, it's so good, dude. Like the story of Final Fantasy 14 is just so good.
Yeah, so this story looks to be the same, or even better. They got 5 nations competing over something, and I'm thinking each nation has like some kind of demigod
Hmm.
that you have to conquer. Uh, doesn't the one ice nation guy or whatever looks like Jack from Final Fantasy?
Oh, you're right. From Final Fantasy Origin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he looks like a really buff Jack, and I didn't know you can get
Wouldn't that
Jack
be?
even
Wouldn't it be
buffer.
funny? Wouldn't it be funny if every like leader for all these nations was just Jack in a different job costume? Like,
and you and you gotta fight him at the end. He's
yeah,
like chaos.
yeah, gosh, fucking.
That would probably be the best Final. I know
Dude,
people would be
no,
pissed, but
bro.
that would be the best Final Fantasy
So
game.
they got
That'd
to
be hilarious.
remake. They have to remake Final Fantasy One because yeah, doesn't he turns into the villain right at the end like Jack
Yeah,
Garland? Like obvious. I mean,
yeah.
obviously it's his fucking name. So they need to remake Final Fantasy One, and you fight Garland like 18 times, and he's doing a different job every time you fight him. Like that, they need to do that.
They need to. They just need to do a Final Fantasy One remake because that the end of Final Fantasy Origin set it up like kind of perfectly.
Mhm.
In the bosses you fight in Final Fantasy One. So I think they just need to hurry up and do a remake of it and have Jack in that. And yes, I would love for him to scream chaos at me like 5 billion
Gosh,
times.
gosh. Oh man, but yeah, Final Fantasy 16 looks fucking dope, dude. Like these like giant icon fights look so good, dude. And the I don't know, just the different nations and everything, and the kind of political intrigue that clearly exists is I think it's going to be very, very, very interesting. But there's like one section of the trailer where like that kid's dad gets fucking eviscerated. Like, yeah, I'm like, holy shit, dude! Like, this is fucking brutal. Like, Jesus, like this is a mainline Final Fantasy game. Like, like they've never done this before. Um,
Yeah,
so I gotta give Square kudos for doing this with Final Fantasy. Like, I don't. I mean, obviously we haven't seen the game yet. We haven't played it yet. It could be bad, but I don't think it's going to be. And I think it's like really ballsy of them to like let Yoshi P take the franchise in this direction. So
Yeah, it's almost like it's not even a RPG. It's like a super action RPG.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to. I thought they had some kind of connection to Devil May Cry. One of the directors. Oh, it's one of the lead developers. The lead developers, or the combat director,
Hmm.
is he
Ooh.
worked on Devil May Cry 5 and
Okay.
and Dragon's Dogma.
That's good.
I thought it was a battle director, but it's actually the combat director.
That's good.
Yeah, so yeah, so Ryota Suzuki, he worked on it. So yeah, that's why the combat looks like that. And if you played Devil May Cry 5, you should know that that combat's really fucking good. So I don't have any quarrels with the combat. I know a lot of people, especially old school Final Fantasy fans, they are tired of the actiony stuff, especially at the Final Fantasy 15. Um, but I don't know, man. I think Final Fantasy 13 was kind of the start. I kind of like the direction the series is moving into anyway. I just hated Final Fantasy 15, but I kind of like the direction the series is moving anyway. And I think
Yeah.
it was a gradual thing because you can tell with each iteration the combat was just getting faster, faster, and faster. And
Well,
now we're
I
here.
think the thing with Final Fantasy at this point, like guys, those of you who are old school who want like turn based, like you need to get over it. Like mainline Final Fantasy is not doing that shit anymore. Like that shit is being done by Dragon Quest
Hmm.
and these like little side games like Octopath Traveler. Like those,
Yep.
that's where you're gonna get that shit from Square. You're not getting it in mainline Final Fantasy entries anymore. So you know you need to accept that for sure. But I don't know. I mean, dude, like I've never been against the action combat in Final Fantasy. It just needs to be good. You know,
Yeah,
it's
me too.
like
I ain't never been against it at all.
yeah, it's just 15. It wasn't good. I don't care what anybody says. It wasn't good. Like it's so
Well, you know what? I think people think this is the Kingdom Hearts effect, and they think like, oh, well, because Kingdom Hearts is like this, and it was like a really successful franchise, like every Final Fantasy game or every Square Enix game has to be like that. And I don't really agree with that assessment. I think Kingdom Hearts was the first game to get it right in Square's camp,
yeah.
yes, but I think they've been trying to go this actiony action route for a long time, though. If you look at the way the history of their games, you know what I'm
Yeah, it
saying?
just took them forever to get here.
Yeah,
Because even Kingdom Hearts has been highly inconsistent between each game. Like
yeah.
how good the combat is. It's like because one was one, but then two like Final Mix had like really good combat. But two didn't have good combat. It was like
Yeah,
e-
exactly.
even within the same game, like different releases of the same game, they've had issues. So I think Square's always struggled with their action stuff, and um, I'm kind of hoping this is a like them turning a corner, maybe. With that, that's kind of my hope with this game. So
Yeah, well, you remember like even like Near Automata that was fucking outsourced.
yeah, right. Platinum made that.
Yeah, and I don't I know Replicant is an in-house game, but I feel like they use Platinum's engine for that. You know what I'm saying? Like they had a base to work off of,
Yeah.
so they had to learn from other people. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yep. All right, fair enough. Well, we'll continue to look forward to that. It is the trailer did say it's coming summer 2023, so it's not that far off. We are less than 12 months away from having this game in our hands.
all I gotta say is anyone coming out around this game, any games coming out around this game, man, you better. As soon as they announce that date, you better push your date
Clear,
back or push
clear
your date
out,
forward.
clear, clear, clear out. Yeah, I'm just saying it now. Just clear out, dude. Like
Yeah,
I think this game is actually gonna be fucking big, like big,
yeah.
big. So
I mean, you see what Forspoken did as soon as they announced God of War. They're like, oh, okay, we're moving our stuff to
hmm
like January now, guys.
right. Didn't even
So
take a week. It didn't even take a day, right? It was like
it was the same day. It was like the same hours or shit like that. It was crazy.
yeah, they know. They knew, yeah. So but all right. Well, Marshall, I think we're gonna call it there for the week.
All
This
right.
was a very lengthy episode, so we will jump off here. So, guys, if you like this episode, please like the show, review the show, and subscribe to the show on whatever feed you're listening to it on. And please share with your friends. If you'd like to interact with either of us on Twitter, you can try to tweet
You,
Montrell at
you
iTrap for
can
the
still
Hokage.
you can
Uh,
still tweet me, guys. I'll respond.
that's the
I
number
will.
4, not the word. He may or may not respond to you.
I will respond. I will
I'm
respond.
at
I have.
Thundernut. I'm at Thundernut01. I'll probably respond. Maybe I don't tweet very much. So, and then if you'd like to send us questions, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. And that is it for us, guys. We hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you next week.